we can begin on time. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, good morning and welcome to the opening of the 82nd session of the Economic and Social Commission for Asia and the Pacific. Kindly note that simultaneous interpretation of the proceedings is provided for 4 official languages of the United Nations used by ESCAP for the purpose of facilitating communication. Sign language interpretation will also be available. This event will also be webcast on UN Web TV and ESCAP's YouTube channel in all 4 official languages. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, please join me in welcoming our special guest now entering the room, His Excellency Mr. Anutin Chanvirakul, Prime Minister of Thailand. His Excellency Mr. Panapasi Nelesone, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for Finance and Economic Development of Tuvalu and Acting Chair of the 81st Session of the Commission. Ms. Armida Salsiah Alisjabana, Under-Secretary General of the United Nations and Executive Secretary of ESCAP. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, at this time we will begin the opening ceremony with a video of the traditional parade of flags of the members and associate members of the Commission. May I now request His Excellency Mr. Panapasi Nelesone, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for Finance and Economic Development of Tuvalu and Acting Chair of the 81st Session of the Commission to preside over the meeting. Thank you.
Excellencies, Madam Executive Secretary, distinguished delegates, the meeting is called to order. It is an honor and privilege for me to join you today to preside over the closing of the 81st session of the Commission. Before we proceed with today's agenda, please allow me to share a few reflections on our progress over the past year in the work of the Commission. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ESCAP remains committed to supporting its members and associate members in addressing sustainable development challenges and promoting regional cooperation. The 81st session of the Commission that comes to an end today was guided by the theme Regional Cooperation for Resilient and Sustainable Urban Development in Asia and the Pacific. In this context, the Commission adopted a resolution that encouraged ESCAP members and associate members to develop and implement sustainable urban solutions. The 30th Asia-Pacific Forum on Sustainable Development, with over 1,500 participants from all over the region, exchanged regional perspectives on implementing the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development in Asia and the Pacific. The adoption of the Ministerial Declaration on a Decade of Action for Inclusive and Resilient Civil Registration and Vital Statistics in Asia and the Pacific extended the Asian Pacific Civil Registration and Vital Statistics Decade to 2030. ESCAP also convened the following committee sessions. The second session of the Committee on Trade, Investment, Enterprise and Business Innovation. The fourth session of the Committee on Energy. The fifth session of the Committee on Macroeconomic Policy, Poverty, Reduction and Financing for Development. And the ninth session of the Committee on Disaster Risk Reduction. ESCAP also convened the second Asia-Pacific Regional Review of implementation of the Global Compact for Safe, Orderly, and Regular Migration to assess progress in the implementation of the Global Compact. I am encouraged by the commitment of all ESCAP members, and I look forward to our deliberations this year. Thank you for your attention. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, it is now my pleasure to conduct the election of officers for the 82nd session of the Economic and Social Commission for Asia and the Pacific. In line with its rules of procedure, the Commission will elect from among its members a chair and 2 vice chairs. However, if the plenary so decides, the rule may be applied differently today for the 82nd session to elect a chair and 7 vice chairs of the session. Before we proceed with the election of the Bureau, I would like to express my deep appreciation to the chair of the Informal Working Group on Draft Resolutions, Ms. Huda Ali Sarif, Ambassador at Large, Deputy Head of Mission, and Permanent Representative of Maldives to ESCAP, and the Vice Chair. Ms. Kataleya Batumros, Deputy Director General, Department of International Organizations, Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Thailand, and Deputy Permanent Representative to ESCAP, for guiding the deliberations of the Informal Working Group. I am confident that they will continue to do so as the Working Group convenes during this week. As delegates may be aware, the Commission at its 75th session decided that its chair shall rotate among the 5 sub-regions of the Commission. This year is the turn of North and Central Asia. Therefore, I have the great honor to propose His Excellency Mr. Jayun Bayramov, Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Azerbaijan, as chair of the 82nd session of the Commission. If there is no objection, it is so decided. It is my great pleasure then to declare His Excellency Mr. Jayum Barimov duly elected as the chair of the 82nd session of the Commission. For the positions of vice chairs of the session, I have the pleasure of proposing the following officials. His Excellency Mr. Bendito dos Santos Freitas, Minister of Foreign Affairs and Cooperation of Timor-Leste. Her Excellency Ms. Fane Fotu Fituafe, Minister of Internal Affairs of Tonga. His Excellency Mr. Foke Mahbub Aman, Ministry of Science and Technology of Bangladesh. His Excellency Mr. Rostilav Konyaskin, First Vice Minister of Artificial Intelligence and Digital Development of the Republic of Kazakhstan. His Excellency Mr. Evgeny Yurievich Tomykin, Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary and Permanent Representative of the Russian Federation to ESCAP. His Excellency Mr. Ali Wafyonga Feturi Elsaya, the Commissioner of Samoa to Fiji. And Her Excellency Ms. EAS Vijay Wanti Eti Risinge, Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary and Permanent Representative of Sri Lanka to ESCAP. I am sure that the distinguished delegates whom I have proposed will discharge their duties efficiently for the successful deliberations of our session. If there is no objection, it is so decided. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, please join me in congratulating the newly elected chair and vice chairs. It is now my honor to invite His Excellency Mr. Jayun Barimov, chair of the 82nd session, to conduct the meeting from this point onward. Thank you.
Madam Executive Secretary, Excellencies, distinguished delegates, it is a great honor for Azerbaijan to assume the chair of ESCAP at this important moment. At the outset, I wish to express my sincere appreciation to the outgoing chair for its leadership, as well as the two Executive Secretary and the ESCAP Secretariat for their continued efforts in supporting the work of this Commission in a consistent and professional manner. Allow me also to note that this session was originally planned to take place in Baku. However, taking into account of logistical uncertainties related to evolving situation in our region, it has been decided to convene this session in Bangkok under chairmanship and co-hosting of the Republic of Azerbaijan. In this regard, I extend our sincere gratitude to the Secretariat and to the Government of Thailand for their cooperation and valued support. Excellencies, we convene under the theme Leaving No One Behind, advancing a society for all ages. This theme reflects both an urgent necessity and a shared responsibility. It calls on us to build societies in which every person, regardless of age, background, or circumstances, can contribute to and benefit from development. In a period of rapid challenge, inclusivity must remain our guiding principle. Azerbaijan has always attached particular importance to this principle. Our policies are aimed at putting people at the center of development. We have expanded access to education and healthcare, extended digital services to rural areas, and invested in the skills and opportunities of our citizens across all generations. This people-centered approach lies at the heart of our Azerbaijan 2030 agenda, which seeks to build a competitive, knowledge-based economy with strong local social support and broader opportunities for all. Digital transformation is an essential part of this effort. Today, the use of online public services, e-government, tools and artificial intelligence initiative is becoming increasingly important for inclusive growth and effective governance, expanding digital capacity building across Asia and the Pacific, promoting inclusive access to technology and investing in digital literacy and skills will therefore be essential to ensure that innovation becomes a force for inclusion. Another pillar of inclusive progress is clean energy. Most of the countries in our region are advancing the development of renewable energy, not only as a climate imperative, but also as a tool for economic resilience and community empowerment. By hosting COP29 in Baku, we contributed to global efforts to advance climate action and climate finance, including through the agreement to mobilize at least $300 billion per year. We believe that the next step must be to translate these commitments into practical support and investment, including for projects across Asia and the Pacific, so that even the most remote communities can benefit from affordable, cleaner, and more reliable energy. Connectivity, too, remains central to our common future. Better transport links, stronger trade facilitation, and more efficient logistics are not only economic priorities, they are also instruments of inclusion. Azerbaijan, situated at the crossroads of East and West, has long attached strategic importance to connectivity. The Middle Corridor is one of the key routes contributing to regional cooperation and resilience. In the period ahead, investing in sustainable transport, efficient logistics, and modern infrastructure across our wider region should remain part of our common vision so that no country is left outside the map of trade, exchange, and opportunity. Peace and stability underpin all of these efforts. Without peace, sustainable development cannot take place. Azerbaijan has consistently supported efforts aimed at dialogue, cooperation, and the restoration of links that reconnect people and regions. We believe that by building bridges in every sense of the word, we strengthen trust and create conditions for lasting progress. South-South cooperation also remains central to our vision. Many countries across Asia and the Pacific face similar challenges, including aging population, climate pressures, urbanization, and the need to create new opportunities for youth. Azerbaijan understands these realities and attaches importance to to practical cooperation, exchange of experience, and partnerships based on mutual respect and mutual benefit. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, the challenges before us are too complex and too interconnected for any countries to address alone. Whether we speak of climate change, economic uncertainty, health crisis, or technological disruption, our most effective response lies in solidarity and cooperation. The United Nations was founded on that understanding, and ESCAP continues to serve as an important platform for advancing dialogue, coordination, and practical regional action. As chair, Azerbaijan will remain committed to a constructive, balanced, and results-oriented approach. We will work with all partners in a spirit of openness and cooperation to advance shared priorities and to support meaningful outcomes for the peoples of our region. Allow me to conclude by saying that history teaches us the value of resilience, wisdom, and unity. Azerbaijan is committed to serving this Commission with responsibility and dedication throughout its chairmanship, guided by solidarity, innovation, and a shared sense of purpose. We can build a stronger, more inclusive, and more resilient future for all peoples of Asia and the Pacific. Thank you. Excellencies, Madam Executive Secretary, distinguished delegates, we will now move to agenda item 1C, adoption of the agenda. The provisional agenda for the 82nd session of the Commission is contained in document ESCAP/82/1. Does any delegation have any comments on the agenda? I see none. May I propose to the Commission that the provisional agenda as contained in document ESCAP/82/1 be adopted? The agenda is adopted. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, it is now my honor to invite His Excellency Mr. Anutin Chanvirakul, Prime Minister of the Kingdom of Thailand, to deliver inaugural address. Your Excellency, the floor is yours.
Excellency Mr. Jayun Baramov, Madam Amina, Excellencies, distinguished delegates, it is an honor for me to meet all of you here today, many of which are already my good old friends. And I would like to welcome all of you to our beautiful country. It is also a pleasure to join you at this defining moment for our region. We meet at a time of growing uncertainty. Geopolitical tensions are weakening the rule-based order that has supported our growth for decades. Climate pressures are rising and financial conditions are tightening, just as our economies require greater investment. These challenges are already affecting people of our ages and making it harder to deliver on the sustainable development goals. In this context, development must be inclusive. Otherwise, the most vulnerable will fall further behind. And that is why this year, the theme of Advancing Society for All Ages is not just a policy aspiration, but it is a strategic priority. My friends, our region is aging rapidly, and by the year 2050, nearly 1 billion people, or 1 in 5 people in Asia Pacific, will be over 65 years of age. And at the same time, millions of young people are entering the workforce with ambition and high expectations. This demographic transition must be managed carefully. It raises an important question. How do we build societies where every stage of life is valued and every person has opportunity to thrive? A society for all ages does not happen by chance. It requires deliberate and sustained action. We must empower people at every stage of life. Education cannot end with formal schooling. Lifelong learning must become the norm. We must support older persons to remain healthy, active, and engaged. We must ensure that economic and technological change benefits everyone, not just a few. And we must guarantee equitable access to essential services and social protection for everyone as well. Thailand's approach begins with the simple principle that development must be people-centered. In practice, this means investing in lifelong learning, promoting active and healthy aging, supporting decent work in a changing economy, and enhancing social protection, building on universal health coverage to ensure dignity and security for all. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, friends, with only a few years remaining until 2030, progress on many of the Sustainable Development Goals remains off track. We must act with greater urgency and determination. There are 3 priorities that we should focus on. First, political will. We must align our policies with long-term goals and deliver on our commitments. Second, financing. We must unlock greater resources, including private investment, while making smarter use of innovative financing. And third, partnerships. Governments, businesses, conglomerates, communities must work more closely together. Regional platforms such as ESCAP play a vital role in sharing best practices and scaling up solutions. Thailand has been a proud host of ESCAP since 1949. We deeply value ESCAP's role as a platform for dialogue, cooperation, and practical action. In a more complex and fast-changing world, ESCAP must continue to adapt to remain relevant, responsive, and results-oriented. It must better connect regional cooperation with national implementation and translate shared goals into tangible outcomes. As a host country, Thailand is committed to supporting this effort. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, the future of our region will be shaped by the choices we make and the actions we take today. Let this commission be remembered not for what we said, but for what we delivered for our people in every generation. And at last, may I congratulate the new chair of this commission, His Excellency Jae-yun Bayramov. We expect that your term will benefit our region as much as we can. And may I thank the previous chair, our friend from Tuvalu, Excellency Panapasi, for his dedication to lead this commission with success. Again, it's a pleasure to see all of you today, and I wish you all the best and success. Thank you so much.
Excellencies, distinguished delegates, I have the honor to inform that His Excellency Mr. Ilham Aliyev, President of the Republic of Azerbaijan, has addressed this Commission session. Now, I am privileged to deliver His Excellency's opening address on his behalf. To the participants of the 82nd session of the United Nations Economic and Social Commission for Asia and the Pacific. Dear Under-Secretary General, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to express my sincere appreciation to the Under-Secretary General for the kind invitation to address the 82nd session of the United Nations Economic and Social Commission for Asia and the Pacific, ESCAP, convened under the chairmanship of Azerbaijan. ESCAP remains one of the most inclusive and impactful regional platforms of the United Nations, playing a vital role in advancing sustainable development, facilitating regional connectivity, trade and economic cooperation. We are pleased to contribute to this important work, particularly at a time when multilateralism must be strengthened. We meet during the period of heightened global uncertainty. Escalating geopolitical tensions and conflicts continue to underscore the fragility of international peace and security, as well as the vulnerability of development gains achieved over decades. In this context, Azerbaijan reaffirms its unwavering commitment to the principles of sovereignty and territorial integrity of states. Since 2021, when I first addressed this distinguished body, the South Caucasus has undergone profound transformation. Azerbaijan has fully restored its sovereignty and territorial integrity and initiated a peace agenda with Armenia. At the Washington summit last August, hosted by President Donald Trump of the United States of America, historic progress was achieved in the normalization between Azerbaijan and Armenia. Today, we are witnessing the dividends of peace. Trade relations between Azerbaijan and Armenia have commenced, and Azerbaijan is now facilitating transit access for Armenia. Reciprocal visits of civil society representatives are contributing to confidence building. At the same time, Azerbaijan is undertaking unique and large-scale reconstruction projects in liberated territories, completely devastated under the occupation. The Great Return Program is progressing well. Over 80,000 people have returned to the Karabakh and East Zangezur regions to rebuild their lives, reunite with their homeland, to study and to work. However, landmines remain a serious humanitarian and development challenge, one that also affects several countries across the ESCAP region and calls for enhanced international cooperation. Since the end of the conflict in 2020, more than 400 Azerbaijani civilians have been killed or injured in landmine explosions. Ladies and gentlemen, Azerbaijan continues to pursue inclusive and sustainable development. Over the past 2 decades, our economy has grown nearly fourfold, while poverty and unemployment have been reduced to around 5%. Significant investments in social protection and infrastructure have improved the well-being of our population, which now exceeds 10 million. Azerbaijan has also made great strides in the implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals, integrating the 2030 Agenda into national development strategies, advancing progress in poverty reduction, education, healthcare, and regularly presenting voluntary national reviews, reflecting our strong commitment to leaving no one behind. In addition, Azerbaijan is strengthening its role as a key connectivity hub. In this current geopolitical environment, the importance of the Middle Corridor is increasing. The Zangezur Corridor will further enhance regional connectivity, linking Asia and Europe and contributing to broader transport, energy, and digital networks fully aligned with ESCAP's priorities. Azerbaijan continues to play a reliable role as an energy security provider, contributing to stable and diversified energy supplies across regions. The end of the conflict has also created new opportunities to expand Azerbaijan's international engagement. Azerbaijan's chairmanship of the Organization of Turkic States and the Conference on Interaction and Confidence-Building Measures in Asia, its accession to the D8 Organization for Economic Cooperation, its admission to the consultative meeting of heads of state of Central Asia, and the successful hosting of COP29 reflect the growing confidence of the international community in Azerbaijan's foreign policy. In conclusion, I am pleased to note that Azerbaijan will host the 13th session of the World Urban Forum next month. As a country engaged in large-scale reconstruction and sustainable urban development, we look forward to sharing our experience and drawing on global best practices. I warmly invite all of you to participate at the 13th session of the World Urban Forum. I wish this session every success. Thank you. Ilham Aliyev. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, Her Excellency Ms. Anna-Lena Baerbock, President of the 80th session of the General Assembly, has recorded special remarks to the Commission. May I invite the conference room officer to play the video.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for the opportunity to contribute to the opening of the 82nd session of the Economic and Social Commission for Asia and the Pacific. Your choice of the theme, Leaving No One Behind, Advancing a Society for All Ages in Asia and the Pacific, speaks to two fundamental challenges now facing our United Nations: how we deliver in an inclusive manner for everyone everywhere in an era of immense change and reform, and how we adapt the UN for the future while empowering all ages, particularly the next generation. In many ways, your region is a litmus test of our approach. The Asia-Pacific region is home to over 60% of the world's population and is undergoing rapid demographic change. Over 500 million people in the region are already aged 65 or older. For you, demographic change is not a distant trend. It is a present challenge, yet also an opportunity. How Asia-Pacific nations address such seismic shifts can help shape how the UN supports in areas from healthcare to education, from jobs and livelihoods to sustainable housing. Your efforts can show how a comprehensive approach that supports people at every stage of life can equip the young for the future, support those in their working years, and enable older members of our community to age with dignity. This includes lessons learned in redesigning and indeed reimagining labor markets, expanding social protection, investing in care systems, and removing barriers that prevent people of all ages, particularly women and girls, from participating fully. I thus commend the Asia-Pacific region for this proactive stance, which aligns very much with the spirit of the 2030 Agenda, the Pact for the Future, and the Doha Political Declaration, and which can, and indeed should, contribute to the UN's reform agenda, the UN80 initiative. As we work to make our organization stronger, more agile, and fit for purpose, there's a need to reflect intergenerational concerns and to empower people of all ages. The Secretary General's Action Plan for the UN80 initiative, which recognizes the role of the regional economic commissions, envisions a regional reset and includes a system-wide working group to develop proposals on regional capacities for sustainable development. The core takeaways from this meeting of ESCAP, and more broadly from the experience of Asia-Pacific member states, can and should play a role in formulating that reset and in driving the system-wide changes we need for a UN that is fit for the future and fit for all futures. This is why your theme and your discussions this week matter far beyond this region. They speak directly to the credibility of multilateralism itself. Whether we can still act early, act together, and deliver for people everywhere across the entirety of our and their lives. I thank you.
Thank you. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, His Excellency Mr. Lok Bahadur Thapa, 81st President of the Economic and Social Council, has recorded special remarks to the Commission. May I ask the conference room officer to play the video?
Excellencies, dear colleagues, it is a great honor to address you today. The theme of your session couldn't be more timely. Home to more than 60% of the world's population, the Asia-Pacific is at a critical juncture of demographic change. In countries across the regions, the share of older people and youth is growing. This dual demographic transformation calls for tailored policy responses that ensure everyone can reach their full potential and participate in societies and economies. This is also why I have placed young people at the center of my priorities as the President of the Economic and Social Council. Only last week, the annual ECOSOC Youth Forum brought together ministers and hundreds of youth to share ideas and showcase innovations and solutions to accelerate progress on the SDGs. The discussion throughout the three-day forum reaffirmed that young people are essential partners in efforts to shape a more sustainable and inclusive future. And next month, I will convene a special joint meeting with the President of the General Assembly that will look at how digital economies could be harnessed to foster youth entrepreneurship. Excellencies, with only 4 years left until the 2030 deadline of the SDGs, progress towards the goals continues to be hampered by many interconnected challenges, including climate change, economic uncertainty, persistent inequalities, and conflicts. Too often, it is the most marginalized populations, including women, young people, the elderly, and the persons with disabilities that bear the brunt of this crisis. The high-level political forum in July will be an important opportunity to reaffirm our collective commitment to the 2030 agenda and ensure that no one is left behind. This year's HLPF will focus on driving transformative, equitable, innovative, and well-coordinated actions to advance the SDGs, while also reviewing the goals 6, 7, 9, 11, and 17. These SDGs are particularly critical in Asia and the Pacific, where despite significant development challenges, countries continue to demonstrate remarkable capacity for innovations, commitment to regional cooperations, inclusive digital transformations, and climate resilience. I look forward to your active participation and contributions to the discussions in July. Through sustained multilateral cooperations, regional and global platforms, we can together help accelerate progress toward the SDGs in an inclusive and sustainable manner. Excellencies, as the President of the Council and as a representative of the Asia-Pacific region, I'm keenly aware of the region's diversity and of how demographic shifts affect countries in different ways. ECOSOC remains firmly committed to advancing transformational policy guidance guided by the Soviet commitment and Doha political declarations of the Second World Summit on Social Development. Today's youth will be tomorrow's aging populations. I therefore encourage you, as you carry forward your discussions, to take a holistic and inclusive approach to connect with and support every stage of life. Demographic change is an opportunity to strengthen our economies and societies and ensure that no one is left behind. I thank you.
Thank you. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, Ms. Amina Mohammad, Deputy Secretary General of the United Nations, has recorded special remarks to the Commission. May I invite the conference room officer to play the video.
Excellencies, distinguished participants, your convening today is especially timely. As the crisis in the Middle East compounds global shocks and affects countries across Asia and the Pacific in different ways, the effects are often falling hardest on the most vulnerable. Sustainable development remains our best strategy to advance progress for all ages and to strengthen resilience amidst uncertainty. Leaving no one behind is not a phrase we retire in 2030. It's a commitment to the future and a daily responsibility in the present to carry every person through the transitions, reshaping our societies and into whatever comes next. Across Asia and the Pacific, societies are aging, families are smaller, and population growth is slowing. At the same time, inequalities are increasing, climate pressures are accelerating, and digital change is already rewiring the terms of daily life. These forces are moving faster than our institutions and current policies were designed to handle. Policy choices need to address the challenges of tomorrow and shape fairness, opportunity, and stability for decades. The future will not wait for us to be ready. By 2050, nearly 1 billion people in the region will be aged 65 or over. That's roughly 1 person in 5. Many countries have a short window to adapt their social protection care and labor systems before pressure intensifies. Labor markets already reflect strain. Participation fell from 66% in 2000 to around 60% today. Informal employment still accounts for most work, often without reliable protection or security. Youth continue to face many challenges. Despite some progress, 1 in 5 young people in Asia and the Pacific are not in employment, education, or training. And women continue to participate far less than men. But what gets lost in these conversations is the opportunity. Older persons contribute every day as workers, caregivers, and leaders in their communities. Well-designed investments in lifelong learning, boosting skills, as well as age-friendly workplaces can widen participation for those previously left behind. All of these strategies combine to strengthen trust and solidarity between generations. ESCAP's work on active aging, digital inclusion and social protection, and transfer accounts gives governments concrete ground to stand on without starting from scratch. I urge member states to use what exists. Integrate aging, social protection, and gender-responsive policies in your national development strategies. Seize the opportunities to learn from peers and exchange solutions that work. Governments alone cannot do this work. They should not have to. The UN system, civil society, and the private sector hold pieces of this puzzle: data, financial resources, and reach, and the region needs all of it on the table. We have everything we need to make that true: the knowledge, the tools, and the partnerships. Now's the time to bring them all together, applying a life cycle approach so that longevity translates into dignity and well-being for all. Thank you.
Thank you. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, I am pleased to now invite the Executive Secretary, Ms. Armida Salcia Ali Shabana, to deliver her welcome remarks.
Excellency Mr. Ceyhun Bayramov, Minister of Foreign Affairs of Azerbaijan and Chair of the 82nd session of the Commission, Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. It is my pleasure and honor to welcome you all to the opening of the 82nd session of the Economic and Social Commission for Asia and the Pacific. On behalf of the Secretariat, I would like to extend our sincere appreciation to our hosts, the government of Azerbaijan and the Royal Thai government, for their generous and consistent support for our work. We come together at a very challenging time. Our region's dynamism and stability are being tested by increasing geopolitical tensions and accelerating economic protectionism. The ongoing conflict in the Middle East has triggered our most severe energy supply crisis in decades. From transport connectivity to trade flows and financial stability, the impacts are weakening our economies and societies. Further direct socio-economic costs are looming if conflict persists. Even so, we have reasons for optimism. Asia and the Pacific is home to the world's most dynamic economies. We have deftly navigated past crises and always emerged stronger. Moreover, our leaders have shown what is possible when countries learn from one another and find solutions together. It is that determination and that spirit of collaboration that will see us through. We hope it will also guide and inspire the deliberations over the next few days. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, as we look ahead, it is important to recognize the profound structural transformations currently shaping our region. Among them, demographic change, particularly population aging, stands out as a transformative force. The shift from a society with high fertility and mortality rates to one where people live longer lives in smaller families has widespread implication for individuals, societies, as well as economies. It influences labor markets, social protection provision, healthcare system, and long-term growth prospects across our region. We can navigate this transition through dialogue, innovation, and above all, continued regional cooperation, working together to build a more resilient, inclusive, and sustainable Asia and the Pacific, a region that is also better equipped to withstand external shocks. I look forward to the rich exchanges in the days ahead. May this session serve as a platform to reinforce our shared commitment, inspire new ideas, and strengthen the bonds that unite us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Executive Secretary. I understand the Secretariat has prepared a short video on the theme of the session, Leaving No One Behind, Advancing a Society for All Ages in Asia and the Pacific. May I invite the conference room officer to play the video.
We are at a demographic turning point in Asia and the Pacific. Our populations are aging rapidly, while many countries still have large youth populations. More generations are living longer together than ever before. These shifts place pressure on labor markets, social protection systems, and care services, and our ability to build climate-resilient societies. Women continue to shoulder more unpaid care work and face barriers to decent work. Persons with disabilities remain significantly excluded from labor markets and essential services. Let us take action now. Older persons are workers, caregivers, entrepreneurs, leaders. Young people drive digital and green transitions. To advance a society for all ages, we must invest in decent work, lifelong learning and reskilling, strengthen universal and gender-responsive social protection, build inclusive and resilient care systems, and promote intergenerational solidarity. With people-centered, evidence-based, and forward-looking action, demographic change can become a driver of resilience, prosperity, and dignity for all.
Excellencies, distinguished delegates, I understand the Secretariat has made arrangements for a series of photos to be taken at this time. May I request the Master of Ceremony to provide the necessary instructions?
Thank you, Your Excellency. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, we will now proceed with the official group photo. We would like to inform you that 3 sets of photos will be taken. First, a photo will be taken with speakers at the opening ceremony. Then the elected bureau members of the 82nd session will join the speakers and the photo will be taken. Last but not least, all the heads of country delegations will join the stage and the official group photo will be taken. May I now kindly invite the chair of the 82nd Commission session, the acting chair of the 81st Commission session, and the executive secretary to step forward to the stage for an initial photograph. It is my great pleasure to now invite the Bureau members of the 82nd session of the Commission to join the Excellencies on stage for the second photo. Liaison officers will escort the relevant members to the stage. It is my pleasure to now invite all the heads of country delegations to join the delegates on the stage for the official photo escorted by the liaison officers. Excellencies, this last group photo will be taken from the second floor deck. May I kindly ask all heads of country delegations on the stage to look up to the second floor where the photographer is standing with the light. When taking the photo, the light will be turned off momentarily and the photo will be taken. Once the photo is taken, the light will be switched on again. Please remain looking up until the photo is taken and the light is switched back on. As a reminder, Your Excellencies, please look up to the second floor for the group photo now. Thank you, distinguished delegates, for joining the group photo. Please kindly return to your seats as the official proceedings will resume momentarily.
Excellencies, distinguished delegates, it is now my pleasure to invite heads of state and government of ESCAP member states to share their vision and recommendations for advancing a society for all ages in Asia and the Pacific. First, may I ask the conference room officer to play the message from His Excellency Mr. Sadir Japarov, President of the Kyrgyz Republic.
Урматтуу төраға мырза, ардактуу айымдар жана мырзалар, алгач туруктуу жана инклюзивдүү өнүгүү жаатында макулдашылган чечимдерди иштеп чыгууда экономикалык жана социалдык комиссия Бириккен Улуттар Уюмунун регионалдык маанилүү платформасына айланып бараткандыгын баса белгилегим келип турат. Ал эми бардык курактагы адамдар үчүн коомду калыптандырууга көмөктөшүүдө эч кимди четте калтырбоо темасындагы кезектеги сессия 2030 жылга чейин белгиленген маселелердин күн тартибинин негизги принциптеринин бири болуп саналат. Бул багытта Кыргыз Республикасы адамды анын кадыр баркын, тең мүмкүнчүлүктөрүн көңүл борборуна коюп, жаш курагына, жынысына жана жашаган жерине карабастан өнүктүрүүгө артыкчылык берген саясатты ырааттуу жүргүзүп келебиз. Биз туруктуу өнүгүүнү абстрактуу максат катары эмес, ар бир жарандын алдындагы конкреттүү жоопкерчилигибиз катары карап, адамдык капиталга өзгөчө көңүл бурабыз. Биздин 2030 жылга чейинки өнүктүрүүнүн улуттук программабыздагы жарандардын жашоо сапатын жогорулатууга жана ар бир адамдын потенциалын ачууга багытталган. Өлкөбүздө жүргүзүлүп жаткан реформалардын натыйжасында Кыргызстандын экономикасы туруктуу оң динамикага жетишип, орточо эсеп менен жылына 9%га жакын өсүү камсыз болду. Өткөн жылдын жыйынтыгы боюнча өсүш 11%ды түзүп, реалдуу эмгек акы 10%га, пенсиялар 6%га жогорулады. Азыркы учурда калктын 75%дан ашыгы милдеттүү медициналык камсыздандыруу системасына өтүп, баштапкы медициналык санитардык жардам дээрлик бардык жарандар үчүн жеткиликтүү болуп калды. Алтын казык билим берүү программасынын алкагында 12 жылдык билим берүүгө өтүүдө жаңы стандарттар бекитилип, мектептер үчүн окуу программалары иштелип чыкты. Жаштардын социалдык көйгөйлөрүн чечүү, иш менен камсыз кылуу, жаңычыл көз караштагы долбоорлор менен стартаптарын колдоо жана билим алуусуна көмөктөшүү саясаты жүргүзүлүүдө. Маселен, эл үмүтү долбоорунун алкагында азыркы жылдарда магистранттардын Оксфорд, Кембридж, Гарвард сыяктуу дүйнөнүн алдыңкы университеттеринде билим алуусуна каржылык колдоо көрсөтүлүп келет. Экономикалык, социалдык жана эмгек мамилелери чөйрөсүндө аялдардын укуктарын бекемдеген комплекстүү чаралар көрүлүүдө. Биз чечим кабыл алуу процессинде аялдардын катышуусун чыңдап жатабыз. Акыркы парламенттик шайлоонун жыйынтыгы боюнча аялдар жогорку кеңештин 33%-ын ээлешти. Бул өлкөнүн тарыхындагы рекордтук көрсөткүч десек жаңылышпайбыз. Ошону менен бирге жетекчи кызматтардагы аялдардын үлүшү 40%дан ашты. Жакырчылык 26%га чейин кыскарып, балдарды алыскы жана бийик тоолуу аймактардын тургундарын кошкондо эң аялуу топторду колдоо жаатында социалдык коргоо программалары активдүү иштеп жатат. 94% тоолордон турган Кыргызстандын демилгеси менен Бириккен Улуттар уюмунун башкы ассамблеясы 2022 жылы тоолуу аймактарды өнүктүрүү боюнча иш аракеттердин 5 жылдыгын жарыялаганын жакшы билесиздер. Учурдан пайдаланып, 2027 жылы борборубуз Бишкек шаарында өтө турган 2-чи глобалдык тоо саммитине бардык кызыктар мамлекеттерди чакырабыз. Бүгүнкү күндө Кыргызстан калкы картайуу баскычына акырындык менен жакындап бараткандыгын эске алып, улуу муундун жашоо сапатын жогорулатууга багытталган 2030 жылга чейинки активдүү узак өмүр программасы иштелүүдө. Урматтуу кесиптештер, азыркы кезде бардык мамлекеттер демографиялык өзгөрүүлөр, технологиялардын ыкчам өнүгүшү жана мүмкүнчүлүктөрдүн теңсиздиги сыяктуу комплекстүү чакырыктарга туш болуп жаткан чакта санариптик трансформация жөн гана инструмент эмес, инклюзивдүү өсүштү камсыз кылуучу негизги фактор болуп калды. Мындай олуттуу чакырыктардан улам Кыргыз Республикасы 2025 жылы санариптик кодексти кабыл алуу менен санариптик теңсиздикти кыскартууга өзгөчө көңүл буруп, алыскы аймактарда телекоммуникациялык инфратүзүмдү кеңейтүүдө. Кыргыз Республикасы регионалдык кызматташууда Азия Тынч океан маалыматтык супермагистралынын жетектөөчү комитетинин төрагалыгына шайланышы аймактагы мамлекеттердин ишенимине ээ болуунун айкын далили десек болот. Биз муну санарип байланышты бекемдөө, билим алуу жаатында тажрыйба алмашуу жана туруктуу санарип экосистеманы түзүү боюнча жоопкерчилик катары кабыл алабыз. Ал эми деңизге чыгууга мүмкүнчүлүгү жок Кыргызстан үчүн транспорттук, энергетикалык жана санариптик байланышты өркүндөтүү, өнүктүрүү өзгөчө маанилүү болгондуктан, мындан арыда экономикалык жана социалдык комиссиянын колдоосуна чоң үмүт артабыз. Биз биргелешкен аракеттер аркылуу гана туруктуу жана адилет келечекти камсыздай аларыбызды баса белгилөө менен сөзүмдү аяктаймын. Экономикалык жана социалдык комиссиянын 82-ci сессиясынын үзүрлүү өтүшүнө тилектешмин. Көңүл бурганыңыздар үчүн рахмат.
Thank you. May I now ask the conference room officer to play the message from His Excellency Mr. Ferdinand Marcos, President of the Republic of Philippines.
Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. We gather at a crucial moment for the region and the world's development agenda. We bear witness to the outbreak of political tensions across regions, especially the crisis in the Middle East, whose widespread consequences, especially at the economic sphere, are felt most disproportionately here in the Asia-Pacific. The geopolitical uncertainties are compounded by their repercussions on the energy supply, levels of inflation, and the broader challenges confronting our economies and affecting our nation's foundation, our people. This is a time when the 2030 Sustainable Development Agenda is under immense strain. We are reminded that progress is neither necessarily guaranteed nor evenly shared. Your presence today at ESCAP's 82nd session affirms our shared belief that multilateralism and regional cooperation must not waver, for in them lies the hope for and attainment of true development. The theme of this year's session, Leaving No One Behind, Advancing a Society for All Ages in Asia and the Pacific, is timely as it is urgent. It provides us with a focused framework to shape how we move forward together in advancing a model of sustainable development that is truly felt by all people. In the Philippines, demographic shifts are gradually reshaping the trajectory of our future. Our senior population reached nearly 11 million in 2025 and is projected to double as we reach the years 2035 to 2040. Today, Filipinos aged over 60 comprise 9.6% of our population, placing us on the threshold of being classified as an aging society. And yet, at the same time, we remain a relatively young nation with around 30 million Filipinos between the ages of 15 and 30. This dual reality presents both opportunities and challenges. Millions of elderly Filipinos continue to contribute meaningfully to our economy. We recognize the value of their continued contribution, but we will always work to ensure that this participation is driven not by necessity, but by dignity, productivity, and choice. It is in this spirit that I proudly recall that the Philippines, together with a core group of countries, led the adoption of a consensus resolution at the 58th session of the Human Rights Council to begin drafting a new international treaty on the rights of older persons, a milestone towards ensuring their full enjoyment of human rights. For the youth, we recognize their immense potential to lead in innovation, resilience building, and community development. Their engagement, as seen in high civic participation, reflects their readiness to shape our shared future. These realities capture a clear imperative. Inclusive development is foundational and must be intentional, responsive, and sustained. In the Philippines, we endeavor to go beyond ensuring that no one is left behind. We set the priority of reaching those furthest behind first. This principle is embedded in the pages of our Philippine Development Plan, the Philippine Plan of Action for Senior Citizens, and the Philippine Population and Development Plan of Action. These frameworks all integrate population dynamics into national and local development strategies. With these as our national guideposts, we continue to prioritize investments in education, health, social protection, digital transformation. We allocate resources on what will empower our youth and our older people to be active participants in this development. For decades since its founding, the Philippines has worked with ESCAP as it provided a platform for cooperation, technical support, and shared solutions across the Asia-Pacific. The Philippines has maintained this close engagement with the Commission, including the recent national consultation for the promotion of policies on aging in the Philippines held 2 months ago. Excellencies, as chair of ASEAN, we are an ally in the pursued commitment of advancing inclusive development, women's empowerment, and resilient communities in the support of 2030 agenda. In this role, we will prioritize strengthening social protection systems, advancing families and communities, and promoting innovation that fosters the potential of our youth. Within the RISE ASEAN framework, we are working towards resilient and empowered families, inclusive development, smart youth and innovation, and an environmentally sustainable and food secure future. The Philippines also continues to advance women's leadership and participation, building towards progress in the women, peace, and security agenda. In the face of today's challenges, the Philippines sees more clearly the need for stronger partnerships between ASEAN and UN systems, and we voice our full support in aligning regional and global efforts that deliver real and lasting development outcomes. The situation before us is undoubtedly complex and interconnected, crossing geopolitical and socioeconomic borders. However, it is my conviction that such are never truly insurmountable. Over the next few days, I trust that the discussions will strengthen partnerships and collaborations amongst countries, regions, and organizations, moving beyond isolation to act with shared purpose and renewed resolve. Let us think beyond the constraints that limit us and build societies that are inclusive, resilient, and responsive to the needs of all generations. The Philippines has long valued its partnerships that strengthen regional cooperation, including through ASEAN and ESCAP. We take this opportunity to reaffirm our commitment to work with all in advancing the priorities of the Asia-Pacific region in our shared pursuit of sustainable development. Thank you.
Thank you. May I ask the conference room officer to play the message from His Excellency Mr. Tsering Tobgay, Prime Minister of Bhutan.
Your Excellency Armida Ali Shabana, distinguished heads of state and government, honorable ministers, excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. It is a great honor to address the 82nd session of ESCAP. The theme before us, leaving no one behind, advancing a society for all ages, is both timely and urgent. But if we are serious about this theme, it compels us to ask a more fundamental question. What does it really mean to leave no one behind? Too often, we treat it as a social aspiration, a goal to be pursued after growth has been achieved. But leaving no one behind is not an outcome of development. It is a test of whether our development model is working at all. In Asia and the Pacific, that test is becoming harder. We are aging rapidly. Today, more than 700 million people in our region are over the age of 60. By 2050, that number will nearly double. Many of our countries are undergoing this transition in just 2 decades, a process that took others nearly a century. We risk growing old before we grow rich. At the same time, we face another reality. Our young people searching for opportunity, even as societies struggle to care for the elderly. This is not just a demographic shift. It is a structural challenge to our economies, to our societies, and to the very idea of inclusion. So the question is not only how we respond to aging, but how we design a society that works for every generation. A society for all ages is not one that supports the elderly and creates opportunities for the young separately. It is one where generations are connected, where the young are empowered, where the elderly are valued, and where every stage of life is seen as purposeful and productive. Bhutan is not immune. Our fertility rate has fallen below replacement. Our population is aging, and like many small economies, we face youth unemployment, out-migration, and a narrow economic base. But we do not see these as isolated challenges. We see them as signals that the way we design development must fundamentally change. Our response is guided by a development philosophy of gross national happiness. At its core is a simple belief: development must serve human well-being, not just economic growth, but dignity, security, and purpose for every citizen. This principle has guided Bhutan's journey from a least developed country to graduating in 2023, while improving life expectancy, expanding healthcare, and investing in our people. But graduation is not the destination. It is the beginning of a more demanding phase, where growth must be deeper, more resilient, and more inclusive. That is why we are rethinking how we grow. Not growth first, inclusion later, but growth that is inclusive by design. Our 21st century economic roadmap reflects this shift. And at its heart is the Gelufu Mindfulness City, an initiative to create jobs, attract investment, and build new industries while remaining anchored in sustainability and human well-being. It is based on a simple conviction: economic transformation and human flourishing must grow together. Excellencies, if we are serious about leaving no one behind, we must move beyond programs and focus on systems, not temporary support, but lasting capability. That means investing in decent work across all ages, building strong care systems for aging societies, ensuring universal access to healthcare, education, and digital opportunity, and strengthening social protection that is responsive, inclusive, and resilient. And we must go further. We must design systems that connect generations through skills, through care, and through community, so that inclusion is sustained across the entire life cycle. And this is where ESCAP has a critical role, not only as a forum for dialogue, but as a platform for delivery, to help us build regional cooperation in care systems and social protection, digital public infrastructure that includes all countries, and partnerships that support nations transitioning beyond the LDC status. Because inclusion cannot be achieved in isolation, it must be built together. Let me conclude with this. A society for all ages is not defined by how we treat one group, but by how we value every generation. We will not be judged by how fast our economies grow, but by how far our progress reaches, whether it reaches the young, the elderly, and those still waiting for opportunity. Bhutan stands ready to work with all of you to build a future where every generation matters and truly no one is left behind. Thank you, and Tashidile.
I am pleased to now invite His Excellency Mr. Tsongsavan Polivihan, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Foreign Affairs of Lao People's Democratic Republic, to deliver his special address. Your Excellency, the floor is yours.
Mr. Chair, Madam Executive Secretary, Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the government and the people of the Lao People's Democratic Republic, it is my honor and privilege to deliver this special address at the 82nd session of the Economic and Social Commission for Asia and the Pacific. Excellencies, we meet at the moment that call for candor. The world in 2026 is not the world in which the 2030 agenda is adopted. Multilateralism, the architecture of cooperation that this Commission embodies, is under severe and sustained pressure. Prolonged conflicts remain unresolved and the space for diplomatic engagement is narrowing. The circumstances are not confined to the countries directly affected. Disruption to energy supplies and the specter of food insecurity and spreading across regions, falling hardest on those with the least capacity to respond. For small, landlocked developing countries like the Lao PDR, these global developments translate into higher cost, constrained fiscal space, and real threat to development built over many decades. It is in the spirit that we reaffirm together that dialogue, the peaceful settlement of dispute, and constructive cooperation based on mutual respect are not merely inspirations. They are the foundation upon which all sustainable development must rest. The theme of this session, Leaving No One Behind, Advancing the Society for All Ages, invites us to reflect honestly on where we stand. SDG implementation remains deeply uneven. Progress on poverty, health, education, and gender equality, though real in many countries, including Lao PDR, is being eroded by the external pressure I have described. Conflict, climate change, and economic fragmentation are not merely slowing the 2030 agenda in some areas. They risk reversing it. Leaving no one behind is not only a development principle. It is a measure of our collective commitment to multilateral cooperation that makes shared progress possible. The Lao PDR knows what it means to pursue development through hard work and partnership. Guided by our 10th five-year National Socio-Economic Development Plan, a roadmap for implementing sovereign, self-reliant economic policy through investment and clean energy, connectivity, human capital, and value-added production. Furthermore, we are on the path of graduating from the least developed countries status, a milestone made possible by the determination of our multi-ethnic people and the valued cooperation of our development partners. For small NDC and LADCs like Lao PDR, we recognize that sustainable development is achievable, but it is not self-sustaining without a stable, peaceful, and cooperative international environment. Graduation is not a finish line, but a new beginning, one that calls for sustained support, continued partnership, and prevailing spirit of cooperation. Excellencies, this is precisely where ESCAP's role becomes most critical and where continued regional cooperation should be deepened, not diminished. No country, however determined, can navigate the compounding pressures of demographic transition, climate change, trade fragmentation, and geopolitical uncertainty alone. Asia and the Pacific should strengthen the regional architecture that enables shared solutions, cooperation on clean energy, food security, digital connectivity, and inclusive support system across all ages. As an inclusive regional platform grounded in the principle of the United Nations Charter, cooperative, evidence-based, and responsive to the needs of all member states, regardless of size or income. ESCAP is the indispensable forum for that work. Advancing a society for all ages where every child has opportunity, every woman participates fully, every older person retain dignity, and every person with disability is visible and included, demands not only political will, but sustained collective regional actions. In closing, LAPIDA remains fully committed to working closely with all member states and partners to advance our shared endeavor of realizing inclusive, sustainable, and people-centered development across our region, guided by our enduring principle of dialogue, friendship, cooperation, and mutual respect. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency. May I now ask the conference room officer to play the message from His Excellency Mr. Zaslan Madiev, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Artificial Intelligence and Digital Development, Kazakhstan.
Excellencies, Madam Executive Secretary, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. It is a great honor to address the 82nd session of the Economic and Social Commission for Asia and the Pacific. At the outset, I would like to express my sincere appreciation to the governments of Azerbaijan and Thailand for hosting this important session and for their excellent organization and warm hospitality. I would also like to extend my deep gratitude to the Executive Secretary for her dedicated leadership and tireless efforts in advancing the work of ESCAP. Today we meet at a time when the global environment remains increasingly complex and fragile. Our world continues to face interconnected challenges that require stronger solidarity, renewed trust, and effective multilateral cooperation. In this context, ESCAP plays a vital role as a platform for dialogue, partnership, and collective action across our diverse region. Kazakhstan remains firmly committed to contributing to the sustainable development of Asia and the Pacific. We attach particular importance to digital transformation as a key driver of inclusive growth, resilience, and innovation. In this regard, we fully support this year's theme, leaving no one behind, advancing a society for all ages in Asia and the Pacific. The challenges associated with demographic change, inequality, and unequal access to opportunities require comprehensive and forward-looking solutions. In this regard, digital transformation serves as a powerful enabler to address these challenges in a systemic and scalable manner. Excellencies, Kazakhstan ranks 10th in the UN Online Services Index and 24th in the UN E-Government Development Index among 193 countries. In addition, our country has received numerous international awards in the field of GovTech and digital innovation. A key factor behind the country's success in digital transformation is the full personal engagement of His Excellency Kassym-Jomart Tokayev, the President of the Republic of Kazakhstan. Building on this foundation, we have advanced the initiative to establish a Digital Solutions Center under the auspices of ESCAP. The center is envisioned as a practical and neutral platform for the exchange, adaptation, and scaling of digital solutions, supporting countries in effectively addressing their development challenges and advancing the Sustainable Development Goals. The establishment of this center will ensure that countries most in need gain access to modern digital solutions on a free and open basis, thereby supporting their full-scale digital transformation. We are grateful to the countries that have already expressed their support for this initiative and joined as co-sponsors: Armenia, Azerbaijan, Bangladesh, Cambodia, Fiji, Georgia, Kyrgyzstan, Malaysia, Maldives, Mongolia, Pakistan, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, Vanuatu. We call upon all countries of the region to continue strengthening cooperation and partnership in the digital sphere for the benefit of our shared development goals. Excellencies, in conclusion, I would like to express my sincere appreciation to the ESCAP Secretariat and to all delegations of member states for their constructive engagement, professionalism, and dedicated work. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. On behalf of the Commission, I would like to extend our sincere appreciation to all leaders for their special addresses. These inspiring words and solution-focused recommendations serve as a call to action for us all as we navigate the strategic priorities for the Asia-Pacific region. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, in order to facilitate the conduct of the session, I now turn to the matter of statements in exercise of the right of reply during the meetings of the Commission. In line with Rule 46 of the Rules of Procedure and practice of the parent body of the Commission, the Economic and Social Council, I propose that in exercising the right of reply, delegations should be as brief as possible and deliver their statements at the end of the meeting at which the right is requested, or at the end of the day, whenever two meetings have been scheduled for that day to consider the same item. I further propose that the number of interventions in exercise of the right of reply for any delegation at a given meeting should be limited to 2 per item, with the first intervention limited to 3 minutes and the second, if any, to 2 minutes. I hear no objection. The Commission will proceed accordingly. Delegations wishing to exercise the right of reply are kindly requested to inform the Secretariat staff located to the right next to the podium. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, the Commission will now consider item Agenda 2A, General Debate on Opportunities and Solutions for a Sustainable Future. The document pertaining to this agenda item is ESCAP/82/2 on Opportunities and Solutions for a Sustainable Future. I give the floor to Madam Executive Secretary for her policy statement.
His Excellency, Mr. Ceyhun Bayramov, Minister of Foreign Affairs of Azerbaijan and Chair of the 82nd Commission Session, Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. Countries in the Asia-Pacific region have demonstrated great dynamism and resilience in the face of many challenges. Despite global uncertainty, growth has remained robust compared to that in other developing regions. Millions have been lifted out of poverty. However, today we are faced with an unprecedented confluence of disruptions. Most recently, the conflict in the Middle East has triggered our region's most severe energy supply crisis in decades. It has laid bare our structural vulnerabilities in energy, trade and transport connectivity, as well as supply chain. Further socioeconomic ramifications potentially lie ahead. But in every crisis, there lies an opportunity to reflect and to better prepare for the future. This crisis underscores something fundamental about the region. Asia and the Pacific is deeply interdependent. Nearly 60% of trade now takes place within the region. Transport corridors, production networks, and energy systems closely link economies with very different levels of development. And as repeated shocks in recent years reveal, the region's economies face similar and often interconnected challenges. This interdependence creates shared vulnerability. It also creates a shared responsibility and calls for a shared vision, one in which no one is left behind, and where resilience lies at the heart of development. And importantly, it makes regional cooperation imperative, particularly at a time when trust in global rules and institutions is under strain. Regional cooperation is a core requirement for economic stability and resilience in this region. But regional cooperation cannot be a simple continuation of the past. The regional architecture is changing. Trade and investment patterns are shifting. Supply chains and energy systems are being reconfigured in response to risk. New alliances and groups are emerging. The question is whether these changes will unfold in a fragmented and uneven manner or through coordination that reduces vulnerability and support long-term development. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, regional and sub-regional cooperation is essential for building resilience and supporting long-term development. It can provide collective solutions and approaches to the region's challenges across a range of sectors and issues. Regional cooperation would thus need to be cross-cutting. It would entail collaboration on energy connectivity to enable energy security and accelerate the energy transition. It would involve the development of regional transport corridors and regional or sub-regional frameworks to help unlock logistical bottlenecks which block many countries in this region. It would entail regional and sub-regional trade and financing arrangements which help countries buffer shocks through crisis response provisions and facilitation mechanism. And it would mean enhance digital connectivity, cooperation on digital regulations and standards, and learning from each other to realize the benefits of digital transformation. These collective efforts must be accompanied by a deliberate rebalancing of development strategies at the national level so that growth is accompanied by resilience. This means strengthening domestic capacity, making structural changes, using digital transformation to raise productivity, and enable inclusion and directing finance and investment towards renewable energy and environmentally sound technologies. At the same time, people's well-being must remain firmly at the center of all policy choices. None of this is new. These are long-standing needs of this region. However, never has the need to act been more urgent. Asia and the Pacific has strong foundations on which to act. The region combines financial depth, technological capability, and dynamic markets alongside diverse development experiences. If these strengths are aligned through cooperation, they can support a more secure and sustainable future. We can play a critical role in fostering regional cooperation to ensure that development is sustainable and inclusive. Our platform brings together the full breadth of the region and provides a neutral space for dialogue, coordination, and practical cooperation across many sectors. Through evidence-based analysis, shared learning, and collective action, it can foster collaborative solutions that address today's challenges. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, the current period of uncertainty is reshaping the region. Our responsibility is to shape that transformation with intention, prioritizing aspects such as energy transition, enhanced connectivity, and regional and sub-regional framework, which are key to bolstering resilience. With cooperation, foresight, and collective resolve, Asia and the Pacific can emerge from this moment stronger, more resilient, and better prepared for the future. I look forward to our discussion in the days ahead. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Executive Secretary. I will now open the floor for country statements. I would like to urge all speakers to adhere to the time limit of 5 minutes to ensure we can hear from all those participating. I also would like to remind delegations that in case of a longer statement, you may only deliver the summary version and provide the Secretariat with the full statement for sharing through the Commission website. Based on the request received, the Secretariat has prepared a tentative list of speakers. In order to maintain order and for delegations to be ready to take the floor, when I call on the speaker, I will also announce the two delegations next in line. Delegations called upon to speak will speak from the podium. Is this clear to all delegations? If so, I now open the floor for the country statements. I give the floor to Mr. Panapasi Nelesone, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for Finance, Economic Development of Tuvalu. Then, next in the line, there will be Mr. Sihasak Keto, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Foreign Affairs, Thailand, to be followed by His Excellency Mr. Chao Ku, Deputy Foreign Minister of China. So,
Mr. Chairman, Excellencies, distinguished delegates, we convene at the pivotal juncture as nations navigate the converging forces of escalating economic volatility, intensifying climate risks, and the rapid technological landscape that is fundamentally redefining the trajectory of sustainable development. It is therefore both timely and essential that we focus on these interconnected challenges and opportunities to strengthen our collective commitment to a resilient and sustainable future. For Tuvalu, sustainable development is shaped by a unique set of structural and geographic constraints. Our economy remains small, remote, and highly dependent on imports. As a result, the high cost of living continues to place significant pressure on our people and our economy. These pressures have been further intensified by rising global fuel prices, which directly affect transportation, electricity generation, and the cost of delivering basic services. In a country where nearly all goods are imported, fluctuations in global fuel and shipping costs are quickly transmitted into higher food prices and reduced household purchasing power. This disproportionately affects the most vulnerable members of our society and exacerbates inequality. At the same time, limited physical space and high exposure to external shocks constrain our ability to respond effectively to these pressures. Mr. Chairman, these economic challenges are further compounded by the existential threat of climate change. Increasingly frequent and severe climate-related events threaten our infrastructure, livelihoods, and long-term development prospects. For small island developing states like Tuvalu, climate change is not a distant risk. It is a present and escalating reality. In this context, climate finance is not optional. It is critical. Access to predictable, adequate, and concessional climate finance is essential to support our adaptation efforts, strengthen resilience, and safeguard development gains. Without it, our capacity to invest in resilient infrastructure, coastal protection, water security, and disaster preparedness remains severely constrained. At the same time, catalyzing private sector-led growth presents a significant opportunity to complement public efforts. By creating an enabling environment for investment, innovation, and entrepreneurship, we can unlock new pathways for sustainable economic diversification and job creation. Scaling up climate finance alongside mobilizing private capital is therefore essential, not only to address immediate vulnerabilities, but also to build long-term resilience and self-sustaining growth. We therefore call on the international community to scale up climate finance commitments, simplify access mechanisms, and ensure that small island developing states can effectively utilize these resources to meet their urgent needs. Excellencies, amid these challenges, Tuvalu firmly believes that technology offers a transformative pathway forward. Digital innovation has the potential to overcome the tyranny of distance that defines our geography. By leveraging technology, we can expand access to essential services, improve governance, and unlock new economic opportunities. Investments in digital infrastructure can enable telemedicine, online education, e-government services, ensuring that even our most remote communities are connected and empowered. Digital financial services can promote financial inclusion, while data-driven systems can enhance policy planning and service delivery. However, to fully realize these benefits, we must address the persistent digital divide. This requires investments in connectivity, capacity building, and affordable access to technology. It also requires strong pathways to support knowledge transfer and innovation tailored to the realities of small islands context. Mr. Chair, regional cooperation remains a cornerstone of our collective response to these challenges. The Asia-Pacific region offers a wealth of shared experiences, lessons learned, and successful development programs that can be adapted to national contexts. For small island developing states, collaboration is essential. Through regional platforms, we can exchange best practices in areas such as renewable energy deployment, disaster risk reduction, digital transformation, and social protection systems. Learning from successful initiatives across the region allows us to accelerate progress while avoiding costly trial and error approaches. We particularly emphasize the importance of South-South and triangular cooperation, which enables countries facing similar constraints to support one another through practical, context-specific solutions. Regional institutions, including ESCAP, play a vital role in facilitating this exchange, strengthening capacity, and fostering innovation. Furthermore, enhanced regional connectivity, both physical and digital, can help reduce isolation, lower costs, and improve access to markets, services, and opportunities. By working together, we can build more resilient and inclusive economies across the Pacific and the wider Asia-Pacific region. Excellencies, sustainable development must ultimately place people at its center. For Tuvalu, this means ensuring that development is inclusive, resilient, and responsive to our community's needs. We remain committed to pursuing a development pathway that leverages technology, strengthens resilience, and promotes sustainable growth. However, we cannot do this alone. Strong partnerships, increased financing, and meaningful cooperation are essential to overcoming the structural barriers we face. In conclusion, while Tuvalu continues to confront significant economic and environmental challenges, we remain steadfast in our commitment to a sustainable future. By harnessing technology, strengthening regional cooperation, catalyzing private sector-led growth, and scaling up climate finance, we can transform our vulnerabilities into opportunities and ensure that no one is left behind. I thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency. I give the floor to His Excellency Mr. Sihasak Pongketkeo, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Foreign Affairs of Thailand, followed by representative of People's Republic of China.
Mr. Chair, Madam Executive Secretary, Excellencies, distinguished delegates, this year offers a moment to reflect. It marks 80 years of the United Nations, and next year, 80 years of ESCAP. These milestones come at a time of real strain on the international order these institutions were built to support. For decades, the rules-based international order has been the foundation of stability and growth. But today, as we all know, it is under pressure from fragmentation, rising geopolitical competition, and declining trust. Of course, of grave concern to all of us is the ongoing conflict in the Middle East. Its impacts are already reshaping our region's outlook, and they go beyond short-term disruption. We all have been impacted by the weakening of investment confidence, the tightening of physical space, and slowing progress on sustainable development goals. What is more, the crisis in the Middle East comes at a time when we are facing deeper structural shifts, including aging population, rapid technological change, and accelerating climate risks, which are already stretching our resources, our limited resources, and institutions. But every crisis also brings opportunities. It forces us to focus, to rethink how we build resilience and where we invest for the future. Digital technologies, for instance, if deployed with right policies and partnerships, can improve productivity, expand access to services, and better equip our people to navigate the challenges we face. Continued volatility in energy markets reinforce the urgency of accelerating the green transition, not only to address climate risks, but also to strengthen long-term energy security and economic resilience. In this sense, the crisis is also a catalyst for change. The question then is how we respond. For Thailand, this begins with investing in people, ensuring that skills, opportunities, and support systems are in place across the life cycle so that individuals and communities can adapt and thrive. It also means advancing digital and green transition in a way that is both inclusive and practical. At the regional level, Thailand is working with ASEAN to advance the Digital Economy Framework Agreement. At the national level, we are scaling up sustainable finance, developing carbon markets, and finalizing our Climate Change Act as part of our pathway to net zero by 2050. Going forward, we need stronger and effective partnerships. Effective implementation requires strong institutions, coordination across government and with the private sector, academia, and communities. It also depends on policies that are well targeted, delivering real impact. And in a more fragmented world, cooperation must be strengthened not only globally, but regionally and across different forms of partnership. South-South and triangular cooperation in particular will be essential to mobilize knowledge, resources, and innovation. At the heart of this effort is multilateralism. Now, more than ever, we need multilateralism that works, that is responsive, inclusive, and capable of delivering results. This means not only reaffirming our commitment to cooperation, but ensuring that our institutions evolve to remain fit for purpose. Thailand supports efforts to strengthen and reform the multilateral system, including ESCAP, so that it continues to serve as a platform for impactful solutions, meaningful partnerships, and real progress on the ground. Uncertainty in the global landscape today, Mr. Chairman, does not have to lead to the unraveling of the progress achieved. It can be a turning point, one that drives us to cooperate more closely, act more decisively, and deliver more effectively to our people. Thailand stands ready to work with all partners, with ESCAP, to ensure that the choices we make today will lead to a more resilient and sustainable future for our region. Thank you very much.
Your Excellency, thank you for your statement. Now I give the floor to His Excellency Mr. Ma Jiaoshu, Deputy Foreign Minister of People's Republic of China, followed by the representative of Timor-Leste and then Sri Lanka. You have the floor, Your Excellency.
主席先生、执秘女士、各位代表、女士们、先生们，大家早上好。首先，我谨代表中国政府祝贺联合国亚太经社会第82届年会召开，感谢泰国政府和亚太经社会秘书处的周到安排。当前，百年变局加速演进，地缘冲突、局部战争此起彼伏，单边主义、保护主义甚嚣尘上，强权政治、霸道霸凌大行其道，不稳定、不确定的因素增多，世界和平与发展面临严峻的威胁。习近平主席提出4大全球倡议，为应对变乱交织的国际局势指明了方向。亚太经社会各个成员国应该加强团结合作，促进亚太的发展繁荣，推动构建亚太共同体。在此，我愿提出以下建议：第一，捍卫多边主义，坚守和平发展的正道。多边主义是维护和平、促进发展的有效途径。世界越不太平，多边主义越显弥足珍贵。 应该坚持真正的多边主义，坚定维护以联合国为核心的国际体系和以国际法为基础的国际秩序，共同构建更加公正合理的全球治理体系。联合国正在推进80周年改革，亚太经社会等区域经委会应该提升履职能力和工作的实效，助力域内国家实现可持续发展。我们将继续通过中国亚太经合会合作基金等渠道，支持亚太经社会发挥更大的作用。第二，推动开放合作，促进区域融合发展。开放合作是亚太地区保持高速增长的成功密码。无论国际形势如何变化，我们都要坚持开放合作的正确方向，维护以世界贸易组织为核心的多边贸易体制，促进贸易投资自由化、便利化，保证产业链供应链的稳定畅通，推进区域经济一体化。中方愿与各方一道，进一步提升区域互联互通水平，高质量实施区域全面经济伙伴关系协定，稳步推进亚太自由贸易区的建设，为世界经济注入新的动能。第三，把握数字机遇，引领创新合作潮流。创新是亚太持续繁荣的动力源泉。新一轮科技革命和产业变革浪潮迭起，为亚太各国带来巨大发展机遇。我们要围绕人工智能、新材料、新能源等领域，深化科研交流和产业合作，在亚太经社会框架下，加强信息分享和政策协调，充分挖掘本地区增长潜力。中方坚持创新驱动的高质量发展，以实际行动来推动国际创新合作。近年来，我们提出全球人工智能治理倡议、人工智能+国际合作倡议，建成了世界数据组织，正在筹建世界人工智能合作组织，欢迎亚太合作伙伴积极参与。第四，推进落实2030年议程，加快实行可持续发展的目标。2030年议程落实已经进入最后5年的冲刺期，但是进展远不及预期。我们要加快实施亚太经社会2030年议程行动路线图，为实现可持续发展目标做出亚太贡献。联合国将于2027年9月启动制定2030年后全球发展议程。亚太各国要加强政策对话，为制定新的发展议程做好区域层面的政治准备。全球发展倡议是促进国际发展合作、推动落实2030年议程的国际公共产品。倡议提出4年多来，已经动员了230多亿美元的资金，实施了1800多个务实合作项目。中方愿同亚太伙伴不断深化倡议务实合作，为重振全球发展事业贡献力量。主席先生，作为拥有14亿人口的发展中大国，中国不断完善人口发展战略，努力推进人口规模巨大的现代化，让全体人民都过上好日子。我们持续加大教育、医疗、健康等民生投入，大力发展银发经济，健全覆盖全人群、全生命周期的人口服务体系，为中国式现代化提供强有力的支撑。我们愿同亚太伙伴加强经验交流，共同推进亚太地区人口高质量发展。上个月举行的中国两会审议通过了“十五五”规划纲要，这是中国发展的新蓝图，也将为世界和亚太地区发展提供新机遇。今年是“十五五”计划的开局之年，中国经济开局良好，稳中有进。第一季度经济增长5%，在主要经济体中名列前茅，展现出中国经济的强大韧性和活力。中国将持续扩大高水平对外开放，同世界各国，特别是亚太国家分享红利，携手做大发展的蛋糕。中国始终是亚太大家庭的一员，始终支持和参与 亚太合作。我们担任2026年亚太经合组织东道主，将于今年11月在深圳举办亚太经合组织第33次领导人非正式会议，同各方一道推动建设亚太共同体。主席先生，明年是亚太经社会成立80周年。80年前，亚太经社会的前身亚洲和远东经济委员会在中国上海诞生。80年风雨兼程，亚太合作已经站上新的历史起点。中方愿于2027年4月在上海承办亚太经社会第83届年会。我们将以此为契机，同各成员重温初心使命，深化互利合作，重整行装再出发，为构建亚太共同体做出更大贡献。谢谢主席先生。
Thank you, Your Excellency, for your statement. I now give the floor to His Excellency Mr. Bendito dos Santos Freitas, Minister of Foreign Affairs and Cooperation of Timor-Leste, followed by the representative of Sri Lanka and Tonga.
Mr. Chairman, Excellencies, Deputy Prime Ministers and Ministers, Madam Executive Secretary of ESCAP, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. It is my honor to deliver Timor-Leste's country statement at this 82nd session of the Economic and Social Commission for Asia and the Pacific. I would like to express our sincere appreciation to the United Nations Economic and Social Commission for Asia and the Pacific for convening this timely and important discussion on opportunities and solutions for a sustainable future at a moment when our region faces profound transformation and growing uncertainties. Timor-Leste aligns itself with the collective vision of Asia and the Pacific as a region of shared destiny, one that faces common challenges, but also immense opportunities for a more sustainable, inclusive, and resilient future. Today, our region stands at a defining moment. Climate change, demographic transitions, rising cost of living, evolving trade partners, technological disruption, and global economic uncertainty are reshaping our development pathways and testing our collective capacity to deliver on the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. For Timor-Leste as a small island developing state and a least developed country, we remain highly vulnerable to climate shocks, natural disasters, external economic disruptions, and structural financing constraints. Yet, we also see this moment as an opportunity to accelerate transformation. Timor-Leste firmly believes that sustainable development must be built on the foundations of multilateralism, solidarity, and a rules-based international order. We therefore support a stronger regional cooperation that advances practical solutions and delivers tangible benefits for our people. We see major opportunities in strengthening regional connectivity, expanding trade and investment, and deepening economic cooperation across Asia and the Pacific. Regional integration must be not only facilitate markets, but also enhance resilience, productivity, and inclusive growth, particularly for developing and vulnerable economies. We must also expand access to financing for development, especially for climate adaptation, renewable energy, and environmentally sound technologies. For countries like Timor-Leste, financing remains one of the greatest barriers to achieving the SDGs. Without adequate, predictable, and accessible financing, our ambitions for sustainable transformation will remain constrained. At the same time, digital transformation offers unprecedented opportunities to leapfrog developing gaps. If managed inclusively, technology can drive innovation, improve governance, increase productivity, and expand equitable access to health, education, and social protection. Digital inclusion must therefore be treated not as a luxury but as a development necessity. Timor-Leste is also placing a strong emphasis on climate resilience and disaster risk reduction as central pillars of national planning. Climate action is not separate from development, it is development. Sustainable infrastructure, resilient public services, and environmental protection must be integrated into every aspect of our policy decisions. Equally important is the human dimension. Development must remain people-centered, strengthening healthcare systems, investing in education and skills, empowering youth, and ensuring social protections are essential to building societies that are not only more productive, but also more just and cohesive. Our demographic dividend presents both a challenge and an opportunity. With the right investments in human capital, education, health, and employment, our young population can become a powerful driver of national transformation and regional contribution. Timor-Leste reaffirms its unwavering commitment to the Sustainable Development Goals and to international cooperation in addressing shared global challenges. We believe that no country can achieve sustainable development alone. South-South cooperation and triangular partnerships and regional solidarity are indispensable to building resilience and economic diversification. As Timor-Leste advances in regional integration, including our full membership in Association of Southeast Asian Nations, we see even greater opportunities to strengthen cooperation, mobilize partnerships, and contribute meaningfully to regional prosperity and stability. Excellencies, the future we seek must be sustainable, inclusive, and equitable. It must be built not on fragmentation, but on partnership, not on exclusion, but on shared opportunity. Thank you. Muito obrigado.
Thank you, Your Excellency. I give the floor now to Honorary Dr. Upali Panilaja, Minister of Rural Development, Social Security, and Community Empowerment of Sri Lanka, followed by representative of Tonga and then Azerbaijan. You have the floor, Your Excellency.
Mr. Chairman, Madam Executive Director, Excellencies, distinguished delegates, good morning. Sri Lanka extends its appreciation to the ESCAP Secretariat for convening this timely session under the theme Opportunities and Solutions for a Sustainable Future. The focus of this agenda is both relevant and urgent, as our region navigates a complex landscape shaped by climate change, economic uncertainty, technological transformation, and evolving social dynamics. Sri Lanka stands today at a defining moment, transitioning from economic recovery towards a resilient, inclusive, and sustainable future. Our national vision is firmly anchored in a development pathway that is equitable, environmentally responsible, and above all, people-centered. In this context, Sri Lanka aligns closely with the Commission's emphasis on leveraging regional cooperation, strengthening connectivity, and ensuring that development leaves no one behind. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, as we establish our microeconomic environment, Sri Lanka is advancing 4 strategic pillars that reflect both national priorities and regional aspirations. First, green growth. Through our flagship Clean Sri Lanka program, we are promoting sustainable waste management and advancing circular economy practices. This initiative mobilizes citizens, local authorities, and communities to embed environmental responsibility as a shared national value, while contributing to climate resilience and sustainable consumption. Second, community empowerment. Our Praja Shakti National Movement for Poverty Alleviation is transforming rural livelihoods by strengthening community-based organizations and supporting micro and small enterprises. This people-centered approach places particularly emphasis on women's leadership and youth engagement, ensuring inclusive participation in both social and economic growth. Third, adaptive social protection. Sri Lanka is prioritizing shock-responsive and inclusive social protection system through targeted programs such as Aswasuma Cash Grant Program. We are enhancing support for vulnerable populations, including low-income families, persons with disabilities, and the elderly. These efforts are critical to addressing the growing risks posed by economic shocks and climate-related vulnerabilities. Fourth, rural transformation. We are integrating climate-smart agriculture with digital innovation to enhance productivity and connect rural producers to markets and global value chains. This approach not only strengthens food security but also promotes sustainable rural development and reduces regional disparities. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, Sri Lanka has made steady and measurable progress across several sustainable development goals, despite recent economic and global challenges. Notably, we have advanced SDG 6 on clean water and sanitation through strengthened water resource management and the revitalization of traditional irrigation systems, enhancing resilience and equitable access. Under SDG 7 on affordable and clean energy, Sri Lanka is accelerating its transition towards renewable energy with an ambitious target of generating 70% of electricity from renewable sources by 2030. Progress in SDG 9 on industry, innovation and infrastructure is reflected in ongoing industrial transformation efforts and targeted support for micro, small and medium enterprises to foster innovation and resilience. In advancing SDG 11 on sustainable cities and communities, we are investing in sustainable urban mobility and community-driven initiatives such as Prajashakti Poverty Alleviation Program to reduce multidimensional poverty. Furthermore, under SDG 17 on partnerships for the goals, Sri Lanka continues to strengthen its statistical system and digital governance, reinforcing evidence-based policymaking and effective monitoring of SDG implementation. These efforts underscore that national progress must be complemented by strengthened regional cooperation. In this regard, regional and sub-regional cooperation is indispensable. Each sub-region in Asia and the Pacific bring unique strengths and experiences, and by enhancing transformation and technology transfer, we can collectively unlock opportunities and build resilience. Sri Lanka deeply values the role of ESCAP in fostering such cooperation. We look forward to continued support in mobilizing innovative climate finance, strengthening connectivity, and promoting inclusive digital transformation that benefit all segments of society. Ladies and gentlemen, excellencies, the path to a sustainable future must place people at its center. Development must not only be economically viable, but also socially just and environmentally sound. Sri Lanka remains steadfast its commitment to the 2030 agenda through initiatives such as Prajashakti Poverty Alleviation Program, Clean Sri Lanka, and digital economy, and in partnership with regional and global stakeholders. We reaffirm our determination to build a nation that is green, resilient, and inclusive. Let us work together to ensure that our region emerge not only stronger and more connected, but also more equitable and sustainable for present and future generations. I thank you.
Thank you for your statement. I now give the floor to Honorary Fane Fotu Fituafe, Minister of Internal Affairs of Tonga, followed by representative of Azerbaijan and after Russian Federation. You have the floor.
Excellency, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, I have the honor to speak on behalf of the Kingdom of Tonga, a small island developing state in the Pacific. Like many small island development states, Tonga faced geographic isolation, limited resources, and narrow economic structures. These challenges are intensified by climate change, rising sea level, and increasingly severe weather events. Yet within these constraints lie opportunities to build resilience and sustainable development pathways. Economic shocks, particularly rising fuel and transport costs, continue to place significant pressure on our economy. However, they also highlight the importance of stronger regional cooperation and more resilient supply chains across the Asia Pacific. Sustainability is not optional for Tonga. It is essential for survival and prosperity. With support from the United Nations Economic and Social Commission for Asia and the Pacific, we are advancing key priorities. Renewable energy remains central. With strong solar and wind potential, Tonga is working to reduce dependence on imported fossil fuels, strengthen energy security, and lower costs. Sustainable ocean management, including protection of coral reefs and fisheries, is also vital for livelihoods, biodiversity, and tourism. Improved digital connectivity offers further opportunities to diversify our economy, expand education and healthcare access, and connect our outer islands. Climate adaptation remain urgent. Investments in early warning systems, resilience infrastructure, and community preparedness are essential to protect lives and development gains. Tonga also welcome continued cooperation as host of the Pacific-led Pacific Resilience Facility. Sustainable financing is critical for small island states. Access to grants, concessional finance, and strong partnership is necessary to avoid unsustainable debt and ensure inclusive development guided by community needs and local knowledge. Excellencies, Tonga is committed to investing in its people, particularly in youth. With 35% of our population aged 15 to 35, empowering youth people is both a priority and a necessity. In this regard, Tonga is launching the Arise 2050 program, Advance Resilience, Innovative Solutions for Emerging Leaders. Based in the center of government, Arise 2050 will build leadership capacity in national decision-making, regional governance, and peer learning aligned with the 2050 strategy for the Blue Pacific continent, the Sustainable Development Goals, and the Pact for the Future. This initiative recognizes that sustainable development requires not only opportunity, but also capable and empowered leadership. It reflects Tonga's commitment to inclusive governance, institutional strengthening, and long-term transformation. Excellencies, Tonga stands ready to work with all partners to build a resilient, inclusive, and sustainable Asia-Pacific future, ensuring no one is left behind. Chair, I thank you.
Thank you for your statement, Your Excellency. I now give the floor to His Excellency Mr. Yalchin Rafiyev, Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs of Azerbaijan, followed by the representatives of Russian Federation and Republic of Armenia.
Thank you, dear Mr. Chair, dear Mr. Deputy Executive Secretary, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. It's an honor to deliver the national statement of the Republic of Azerbaijan under the relevant agenda item. Azerbaijan values this opportunity to help shape a forward-looking and result-oriented regional agenda. We thank the government of Thailand and the ESCAP Secretariat for their strong partnership in preparing this session together with Azerbaijan. The theme before us, leaving no one behind and advancing a society for all ages, should be understood not only as a social aspiration, but as a strategic development imperative. Inclusion, resilience, and competitiveness must advance together, particularly in a period marked by fragmentation, uncertainty, and accelerating transitions. From Azerbaijan's perspective, the priority is clear. We must translate shared principles into coordinated delivery while preserving the spirit of partnership that underpins regional cooperation. First, connectivity must be strengthened as a strategic public good. In a more fragmented global economy, reliable and efficient corridors contribute not only to trade, but also to stability and resilience. Azerbaijan continues to invest in multimodal transport and digital infrastructure across east-west and north-south linkages. Our objective is to support a connectivity architecture that is more predictable, interoperable, and inclusive, particularly for landlocked and transit-dependent economies. Second, digital transformation must serve as an equalizer. Azerbaijan's Asan service model demonstrates how integrated public service delivery can enhance transparency, reduce administrative burden, and improve access for citizens. Such solutions show that innovation, when designed inclusively, can strengthen trust and reinforce the social contract. And the third, climate action must now move decisively into implementation. Following COP29 in Baku, a clear message has emerged. Progress will depend on our ability to bridge ambition with delivery, particularly in the areas of climate finance, adaptation, and just transition. In this context, a new collective quantified goal, or NCQG, adopted in Baku is essential to ensure that financial flows are more predictable, accessible, and aligned with the needs of developing countries. Climate resilience today intersects directly with infrastructure, food security, water systems, and macroeconomic stability. What is needed is a stronger focus on bankable projects, resilient systems, and practical cooperation mechanisms where regional platforms such as ESCAP can play a catalytic role. In light of these priorities, Azerbaijan sees three strategic directions for enhanced cooperation. First, advancing digitally integrated and paperless connectivity, including interoperable systems and trade facilitation. Second, promoting inclusive and innovative service delivery models, drawing on particular experiences such as Asan service. And the third, strengthening cooperation on climate-resilient infrastructure and sustainable financing with a focus on tangible outcomes. Excellencies, a society for all ages ultimately depends on our collective ability to deliver across sectors, across borders, and across generations. This requires not only ambition, but also coherence, trust, and sustained partnership. The outcomes of this session, including the Baku-Bangkok Declaration that is expected to be adopted at the end of this session, provide a meaningful platform to guide our common efforts. Their value will be measured by how effectively we translate them into action. Azerbaijan remains committed to working with all partners in that spirit as a constructive and reliable partner for regional solutions, contributing to a more connected, inclusive, and resilient Asia-Pacific. I thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you for your statement. I now give the floor to His Excellency Mr. Alexander Alimov, Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Russian Federation, followed by the representative of Armenia and Kazakhstan. You have the floor, Excellency.
Спасибо, господин председатель. Уважаемый господин заместитель исполнительного секретаря, коллеги. Две трети срока, отведенного на реализацию повестки Дня ООН в области устойчивого развития до 2030 года, уже позади. Предполагалось, что к этому моменту мировое сообщество должно было выполнить или вплотную приблизиться к выполнению базовых контрольных показателей по целям устойчивого развития, а по более сложным выходить на какой-то понятный горизонт реализации. К чему же мы пришли на практике? Согласно прогнозным оценкам секретариата ESCAP, 103 из 117 или 88% измеримых показателей ЦУР не будут выполнены к контрольному сроку. В странах с особыми потребностями наметилась еще более тревожная тенденция. Прогресс по ЦУР сначала застопорился, а следом перешел к регрессу, обнуляя результаты, достигнутые за предыдущие годы работы. И эти данные, я хочу подчеркнуть, мы взяли из доклада за февраль этого года, то есть еще до того, как мир потрясла очередная военная авантюра на Ближнем Востоке. Сейчас, с учетом спровоцированной ею ситуации, на рынке сырья, энергоносителей, продовольственных товаров, удобрений статистика, уверен, будет выглядеть еще более удручающе. При этом к застарелым проблемам Азиатско-Тихоокеанского региона прибавляются новые, еще более масштабные. Тема этой сессии посвящена демографическим вопросам. Один из ключевых выводов исследования к сессии – население Азиатско-Тихоокеанского региона стремительно стареет, и в ближайшие 25 лет число жителей пенсионного возраста в регионе удвоится и составит 1 миллиард человек. Если раньше наш регион отличался стабильными показателями экономического роста и естественного воспроизводства населения, то сейчас ситуация, увы, не столь обнадеживающая. Как мы сможем в будущем обеспечить ресурсы на социальные гарантии для 1 миллиарда пенсионеров – это вопрос, который мы должны задавать себе уже сейчас. И при этом не стоит забывать о существующих вызовах региона, которые текущая политическая и экономическая турбулентность лишь усугубляет. Это деградация окружающей среды и потеря биоразнообразия, экономический и цифровой разрыв, нехватка водных ресурсов, волатильность на рынках сырья и инфляционные шоки. Реальность такова, что чем дальше человечество отходит от принципов и подходов, доминировавших в международных отношениях во времена создания ООН, тем острее и опаснее для будущих поколений становятся эти вызовы. По мере приближения к контрольному сроку повестки 2030 мировому сообществу необходимо не изобретать новую парадигму развития, а постараться вернуться к истокам. Вчера в нашей стране отмечался День памяти жертв геноцида советского народа нацистами и их пособниками в годы Великой Отечественной войны. Наши предки, прошедшие через эту войну и основавшие Всемирную организацию, видели мир как единое и неделимое мировое сообщество. Нам следует почитать их память и делать все от нас зависящее для пресечения опасных тенденций, охвативших сегодняшние международные отношения. Вернуть доверие между странами и взаимоуважительный диалог на основе учета национальных интересов и безопасности друг друга. Не подменять устав ООН и международное право аморфными и адаптированными под интересы одной группы стран порядком, основанным на правилах. Ставить коллективные задачи выше национальных, а дипломатию выше принципа «сильный прав». Своевременно выполнять обязательства перед Всемирной организацией, включая финансовые. Господин председатель, по мере приближения 80-летнего юбилея СКАТа хотел бы отметить, что данная региональная комиссия, наша комиссия, неоднократно демонстрировала способность эффективно работать в условиях глобальной политической турбулентности. Таких деполитизированных структур в системе ООН, к сожалению, остается все меньше и меньше. Российская Федерация продолжит оказывать поддержку СКАТа как в осуществлении ее программы работы, так и в ходе прений в вышестоящих структурах в Нью-Йорке. Мы намерены продолжать практику российского добровольного взноса в комиссию и приступить к планированию новых проектов. Выступая незадолго до меня, глава делегации Китайской Народной Республики озвучил инициативу о проведении следующей сессии в Китае, в Шанхае. Россия приветствует и поддерживает эту инициативу. Мы уверены, что страны-члены комиссии примут консенсусное решение о проведении следующей сессии СКАТа в Шанхае. Я благодарю вас.
Thank you for your statement. Now I give the floor to His Excellency Mr. Robert Abis-Sagamanyan, Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Armenia, followed by representatives of Kazakhstan and then Georgia. You have the floor, please.
Distinguished Chair, Mr. Deputy Executive Secretary, Excellencies, distinguished colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. It's an honor to address you today at the 82nd session of the United Nations Economic and Social Commission for Asia and Pacific. I thank the Executive Secretary and other high-level speakers for their introductory remarks. Today, we are living through a period of profound uncertainty marked by geopolitical tensions, economic instability, climate change, shifting trade dynamics, and the rapid pace of digital transformation. These interconnected challenges affect every country in our region and beyond. demanding coordinated, forward-looking, and inclusive responses. Sustainable development can no longer be pursued in isolation. It requires stronger regional cooperation and practical solutions that create tangible benefit for people. In this context, building a sustainable future requires stronger institutions, better functioning markets, and sustained investment in human capital through quality, affordable, and inclusive education and skills development. Development policies must be grounded in resilience, innovation, and long-term sustainability. With growing inequalities, environmental degradation, and increasing global fragmentation, the urgency to protect hard-won development gains is greater than ever. As the incoming presidency of the Conference of the Parties to the Convention on Biological Diversity, COP17, Armenia advocates for integrating climate resilience and environmental protection across all policy frameworks, recognizing that safeguarding biodiversity is essential to food security, public health, economic resilience, and long-term prosperity. Armenia, as a landlocked developing country, is actually aware of the structural constraints that limit access to markets, increase transportation costs, and heighten vulnerabilities to external shocks. These realities reinforce our commitment to advancing regional connectivity, resilient infrastructure, and sustainable resource management. Excellencies, distinguished colleagues, last year, from this very podium, I stressed the importance of peace, enhanced connectivity, and regional cooperation as prerequisites for sustainable development. Since then, our region has witnessed historic developments that create a real opportunity to transform political progress into economic growth and shared prosperity across the South Caucasus and beyond. The initialing of the agreement on the establishment of peace and interstate relations by the Ministers of Foreign Affairs of Armenia and Azerbaijan, followed by the signing of the joint declaration by the leaders of Armenia, Azerbaijan, and the United States of America on 8 August 2025 in Washington, not only established peace in our region, but also marked a major step towards long-term stability, economic cooperation, and sustainable development. On January 13 this year, the Foreign Minister of Armenia and United States Secretary of State announced the release of the Trump Route for International Peace and Prosperity Implementation Framework. This project aims at opening communications between Armenia and Azerbaijan for intrastate, bilateral, and international transportation on the basis of full respect for sovereignty, territorial integrity, and jurisdiction of states. We believe that peace must not remain only a political commitment. It must be consolidated through functioning economic links, restored communications, and expanding trade relations. The normalization of relations and the opening of transport routes with Armenia, as well as with Turkey, will significantly expand trade, investment, and transit opportunities, and create new forms of regional interdependence that strengthen trust and support the durable peace. Ladies and gentlemen, the global energy landscape is undergoing rapid transformation driven by climate imperatives, technological innovation, and socio-economic demands. Developing countries face the dual challenge of ensuring energy security while decarbonizing their economies and maintaining affordability. In this regard, the government of the Republic of Armenia continues comprehensive reforms in energy efficiency and energy saving, aimed at strengthening energy security, improving competitiveness, and minimizing environmental impact. Renewable energy capacities, including nuclear generation, solar energy, and electricity storage, remain one of Armenia's most effective pathways towards sustainability. In line with our energy sector development strategy to 2040, we plan to increase solar and wind capacity to at least 2,000 megawatts by 2040. Equality, digital transformation, and innovation are central to Armenia's development priorities. Our ICT sector grew by 20%, while women's participation in ICT and innovation startups exceeds 40%, significantly above the global average. This demonstrates that innovation and inclusion must advance together. Excellencies, sustainable development is measured by whether peace creates prosperity, whether connectivity expands opportunity, and whether innovation serves both people and the planet. Armenia remains committed to advancing reforms and deepening partnership with international organizations and development partners, including ESCAP. We firmly believe that through genuine multilateral cooperation, sustainability can become a lived reality for all of us. I thank you.
Thank you for your statement. Now I give the floor to His Excellency Mr. Rostislav Kanyashkin, First Vice Minister of AI and Digital Development of Kazakhstan, followed by the representatives of Georgia and then Lao People's Democratic Republic.
Thank you. Distinguished Chair, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the Asia-Pacific region is undergoing profound transformation. Technological development is increasingly becoming a determining factor of economic growth, public sector efficiency, and overall sustainability. Access to innovations is no longer an optional. It is a prerequisite for development. At the same time, this process remains uneven. A number of countries continue to face structural limitations in accessing critical technologies. This contributes to a widening development gap, affecting resilience and long-term stability in the region. Excellencies, in this context, ensuring equitable access to critical technologies should be considered a shared task. Bridging the technological divide is directly linked to the achievement of the objectives of the United Nations and the implementation of the Sustainable Development Agenda. Kazakhstan proceeds from the understanding that technological development requires strengthened international cooperation. It is important to ensure not only the creation of solutions at the national level, but also their transfer, adaptation, and practical application across countries. Kazakhstan attaches importance to the efforts undertaken by ESCAP in the area, particularly the activities of the Asian and Pacific Center for Transfer of Technology in New Delhi, with which Kazakhstan maintains a substantive and results-oriented cooperation. As emphasized by the President of the Republic of Kazakhstan, Kassym-Jomart Tokayev, technologies are meant to serve the benefit of all people. Our task is to harness new technologies for the benefit of humanity, turning them into a key factor in progress and cooperation. This principle reflects the importance of ensuring that technological progress remains inclusive and accessible, and does not contribute to widening inequalities. In practical terms, Kazakhstan is advancing the initiative to establish a digital solution center under the auspices of ESCAP. The center is intended to facilitate access to tested digital solutions, promote exchange of experience, and support capacity building, with a focus on the needs of developing, landlocked, and vulnerable countries. Kazakhstan is ready to contribute to this work. National experience in the development of digital public services demonstrates the importance of scalable and adaptable solutions. We are implementing cooperation projects aimed at technology transfer and remain open to further partnerships. Excellencies, fragmentation in technological development is not conducive to sustainable growth. Expanding access to critical technologies, strengthening capacities, and supporting countries with limited resources is a necessary condition for inclusive development. Kazakhstan remains committed to constructive cooperation with the ESCAP and with all partners to promote an open and inclusive technological agenda in line with the principle of leaving no one behind. Thank you.
Thank you for your statement. Now I give the floor to His Excellency Mr. Iraklis Asania, First Deputy Minister of Internal Displaced Persons from the Occupied Territories, Labor, Health and Social Affairs, then followed by the representative of Lao, People's Democratic Republic and Micronesia. You have the floor. Excellency, please.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, Mr. Deputy Executive Secretary, Excellencies, honorable delegates, it's a privilege to address this distinguished gathering and to represent Georgia at this important platform convened by the United Nations Economic and Social Commissions for Asia and the Pacific. We meet at the time of profound transformation. Across our region, countries are navigating a complex landscape shaped by demographic shifts, rising costs of living, fiscal pressures, climate change, and rapid technological advancements. These forces are not only reshaping our economies, they are redefining the trajectory of human development and our collective progress towards the sustainable developmental goals. For the health sector, these challenges are deeply interconnected. Climate change is increasing the burden of disease, aging populations are placing new demands on care systems, economic pressures are testing the sustainability of health financing. And technological change, while full of promise, requires careful governance to ensure equity and access. Yet within these challenges lie powerful opportunities if we act decisively and collaboratively. Excellencies, Georgia's experience demonstrates that even in a constrained financial environment, targeted and well-designed reforms can accelerate progress towards universal health coverage and the broader 2030 agenda. Since the introduction of universal health coverage in 2013, Georgia has expanded access to essential health services to cover 90% of the population, significantly improving financial protection and reducing out-of-pocket spendings. More recently, we have focused on impact-oriented and scalable solutions across three key areas. First, strengthening primary healthcare as the foundation of resilient systems. We are implementing a comprehensive primary healthcare reform, introducing blended financial model, including capitation and performance-based incentives to improve prevention, early detection, and continuity of care. This approach not only improves health outcomes, but also reduces unnecessary hospitalization and long-term costs. Second, improving affordability and access to the medicines. Through the introduction of external reference pricing and innovative managed entry agreements, we have significantly reduced medicine prices and expanded access to life-saving treatments, including the chronic diseases and cancer. Importantly, we have removed annual savings on the medicines, ensuring that financial hardship does not stand in the way of care. Third, investing in digital health and data-driven decision-making. We are advancing the implementation of electronic medical records, strengthening health information systems to support better planning, quality of care, and accountability. Digital tools and AI are also enabling more integrated and people-centered services, particularly in primary healthcare. Excellencies, as highlighted in this forum, the challenges we face are regional in nature, and there is strong potential for regional cooperation to unlock scalable impact. On medicines and technologies, regional collaboration can enhance bargaining power, improve market transparency, and accelerate access to affordable innovations. On digital health, interoperability standards and shared learning can help avoid fragmentation and ensure that technological progress benefits all. On workforce development, partnerships can support training, mobility, and knowledge exchange across borders. On climate and health, countries can share early warning systems, risk assessments, and adaptation strategies to better protect population from environmental threats. Excellencies, by investing in resilient health systems, embracing innovation responsibly, and strengthening regional solidarity, we can accelerate progress towards the sustainable development goals and build a healthier, more equitable future for our region. Georgia stands ready to contribute to this shared endeavor. Thank you.
Thank you for your statement. Now I give the floor to His Excellency Mr. Tongsavan Pomhivane, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Lao People's Democratic Republic, followed by the representative of Micronesia and Pakistan.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, distinguished delegates and ladies and gentlemen, it is my great honor to address this 82 session for Economic and Social Commission for Asia Pacific. And this session theme is opportunities and solutions for sustainable future. It's of great relevance and timely. Our region in particular continues to face not only the structural challenges of weakening economic growth, mounting debt, and severe climate impacts, but also threat to multilateralism and global peace. Like other countries in special situation, the Lao PDR has been affected by rising fuel prices and transportation costs for basic commodities, causing major setbacks to hard-won development gains. At the national level, the Lao PDR remain committed to sustainable development agenda, guided by its recent adopted 10th five-year National Social and Economic Development Plan for the period of 2026-2030. Its ultimate goals in implementing sovereign and self-resilient economic policy across 7 key priority sectors, including clean and renewable energy, agricultural and agro-processing, tourism, logistics, and digital economy. To ensure a smooth and sustainable NDC graduation, the Lao PDR has adopted a national smooth transition strategy. However, our structural vulnerabilities remain. We continue to require preferential market access, concessional financing, and targeted capacity building support. The aspiration that no country is left behind must be extended beyond LDC graduation and be reflected in sustainable financing commitments. The Lao PDR remains committed to ensuring a sustainable future. Our energy, we aim to leverage our comparative advantage as a producer of clean electricity, predominantly hydropower, with the national commitment to reduce greenhouse gas emission by 60% by the year 2030, and a building target for electric vehicles to comprise 30% of the national fleet, reducing dependency on fossil fuel. On connectivity, the Lao-China Railway has facilitated over 3 million passengers journeys and more than 5 million tons of freight, transforming from landlocked to landlink. Mr. Chair, for the small NDC and LLDCs like the Lao PDR, we are of the view that sustainable development is achievable, but not self-sustaining without a stable and peaceful regional and international environment. At a time when the foundation of multilateral cooperation are under pressure, regional frameworks such as ESCAP continue to provide indispensable platforms where common challenges are collectively addressed. ASEAN's ongoing cooperation on connectivity, renewable energy, food security, and climate action exemplifies these collective results. In conclusion, the Lao PDR reaffirms its steadfast commitment to working closely with all partners in the ESCAP region to advance a sustainable, inclusive, and resilient future for our region. Thank you.
Your Excellency, thank you for your statement. I now give the floor to His Excellency Mr. Herman Semes, Assistant Secretary, Multilateral and European Affairs, Micronesia, followed by the representative of Pakistan and Malaysia. You have the floor, please.
Thank you, distinguished Chairman, Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. It is a great honor to deliver this statement on behalf of the government of the people of the Federated States of Micronesia and to extend to you all warm greetings with our national saying of Kamarali. Our congratulations to you, Mr. Chairman, and your country and the Royal Thai government for the leadership during this session. At the outset, please allow me to convey our deep respect and sincere goodwill to all delegations gathered here today. The government of the FSM extends its appreciation to ESCAP for the kind invitation to participate in the 82nd session and to the Secretariat for putting together this comprehensive agenda. This gathering comes at a critical moment for our region in light of uncertainty around the world. Guided by the important focus on leaving no one behind, advanced a society for all ages in Asia and the Pacific, this session offers a valuable platform to consider democratic trends, socioeconomic priorities, and the well-being of people across all generations, from decent work and productive employment to healthy and active aging, women's economic empowerment, social integration, to name a few. These priorities strongly resonate with the FSM, where our efforts to build a resilient, inclusive, and people-centered society must respond to the needs of our children, youth, adults, and older persons alike. For the FSM, sustainable development is, above all, about people, improving lives, safeguarding well-being, and ensuring that no one is left behind in our small, remote island communities. We witness every day the interlinked pressures highlighted in the agenda before us: climate change, rising cost of living with surging energy crisis, mounting debt, evolving trade platforms, demographic shifts, and rapid technology change, and dealing with artificial intelligence. These are not abstract trends, they are daily realities shaping our development path, testing our capacity to deliver for our people. Climate change and disaster risk reduction remain real and existential threats for the FSM. Recently, His Excellency Wesley W. Simona, President of the FSM, declared a state of emergency in response to the impacts of Typhoon Silaku in the state of Chuk. This event caused severe damage affecting agriculture, infrastructure, and the daily lives of our citizens. Our government, in close cooperation with partners in coordinating relief and recovery efforts, this experience reminds us how quickly a single shock can set back years of hard work and progress. Across the Pacific, the increasing number and intensity of natural hazards and climate-induced events have led to heavy human and social economic losses and can rapidly overwhelm the physical space of small economies. In this context, we strongly support greater investment in renewable energy, climate resilience infrastructure, and environmentally sound technologies, and we encourage ESCAP to continue to tailor this climate and disaster risk reduction work to the specific vulnerable of the Pacific small island developing states. Our economy prospects also remain constrained by high cost, narrow resources based, and exposure to external shocks. While the Asia-Pacific region as a whole has shown remarkable resilience, many Pacific Island countries still face acute financial constraints that limit essential public investments, particularly in remote island countries like ours. FSM calls to strengthen the domestic resources mobilization, improve our quality and efficiency of public expenditure, and expand consensual and innovative financing, including disaster contingent instruments, so that we can maintain that sustainability with investing in our people, our infrastructure, and our resilience. In this environment, digital transformation presents both a critical opportunity and a significant risk of deepening divides. For the FSM, digital connectivity is truly a lifeline for our dispersed island communities. We therefore welcome the emphasis on harnessing the digital economy to boost productivity and improve access to health, education, and other public services. At the same time, we must bridge the digital divide by ensuring affordable connectivity, promoting digital public good, and building human and institutional capacity so that our people can participate fully and safely in the digital space. Thankful, earlier this year, we saw the opening of the East Micronesia cable system, connecting Silicon Valley with our eastern state of Kusai. This is starting to transform things in Micronesia. Inclusive social development and human capital formations are the heart of our vision for the sustainable future. We share the Secretariat recognition of the need to invest in social protection, vocational and technical education, and quality health services, including for aging population. For the FSM, expanding social promotion coverage, strengthening primary health care, and improving learning outcome, especially in remote communities, are centrally priorities. In these areas, ESCAP analytical work, data, and regional good practices are invaluable in helping us design and implement effective policies. To achieve all these objectives, the effective policy action requires strong public institutions, adaptive policymaking, participatory approaches, and agile and inclusive statistical system across international and regional platforms aligned with national priorities. FSM attaches high importance to timely, disaggregated data to guide our decision and monitor progress towards sustainable development goals. We look at ESCAP's continued leadership in strengthening its presence in our country. Excellencies, the challenge in front of us is real and paradigm is shifting. Our presence here today underscores the paramount importance of international cooperation, connecting regional partnership, achieving sustainable development goals. When we are confronted with turbulent conditions of rough oceans ahead, we draw our experience and resilience to navigate effectively. Like seasoned navigators, we understand when to advance the momentum, when to advance with our shared destination. By aligning our priorities on the multilateral and regional levels, like a flock of birds flying in one direction, we position ourselves to overcome the challenges ahead. I wish to conclude by expressing our gratitude to ESCAP for this opportunity to share our perspective and by extending to all delegates represented here what my country and the people seek from each: friendship, cooperation, and spirit of shared humanity. We stand ready to work closely with ESCAP and all member states and partners to turn these opportunities and solutions into tangible progress for our people. Kalangan, and I thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. I now give the floor to Her Excellency Ms. Rushana Afzal, Ambassador and Permanent Representative to ESCAP, followed by the representative of Malaysia, and I will ask the esteemed speakers to observe the time limit. So you have the floor, please.
Mr. Chair, Excellencies, distinguished delegates, Pakistan aligns itself with the regional call for collective action to accelerate implementation of the 2030 Agenda. For Pakistan, achieving the Sustainable Development Goals is not merely an aspiration, but a national obligation. As for current progress and challenges, Pakistan's progress towards the 2030 Agenda reflects a resilient commitment to sustainable development despite a complex global and regional environment. National assessments indicate a mixed trajectory with approximately 24% of indicators showing significant improvement and 14.3% demonstrating steady progress. However, in light of the structural hurdles, 9% remain stagnant while 22.7% show deterioration, largely due to unprecedented external shocks and resource constraints. Additionally, nearly 30% of our indicators are based on a single observation, underscoring our ongoing efforts to further strengthen national data systems and the frequency of data collection. Pakistan is making efforts in several key areas of opportunity. Climate resilient development remains central as climate action is an economic necessity, and we are mainstreaming adaptation into national planning to ensure our infrastructure and livelihoods can withstand increasing environmental stresses. At the same time, we are investing in human capital, recognizing that our youth are our greatest asset. With policy focus shifting towards nutrition, education, and health, where investment yields the highest long-term returns. We are also strengthening evidence-based governance by modernizing our data ecosystems through the integration of administrative records, enabling better policymaking and real-time course correction, while making use of AI-based data integration through dashboards for monitoring SDGs and progress. In parallel, we are addressing the financing gap, which remains significant as Pakistan faces an estimated SDG financing gap of around 15.1% of GDP per year. That far exceeds our current spending. We are committed to strengthening domestic resource mobilization while calling for more equitable international climate and development finance. As for regional solutions and the way forward, a sustainable future requires both localization and regional cooperation. Pakistan advocates for shifting from broad commitments towards project-based implementation through specific implementable programs that deliver measurable impact. It also advocates for fair access to technology, including equitable access to technological solutions and decentralized AI systems to ensure all nations benefit from the digital revolution. Pakistan supports the use of national and regional indices to gather data that is fully aligned with UN databases, and also advocates for regional tools to identify climate, financial, and food security risks before they evolve into crises. Furthermore, Pakistan recommends that SDG funding be enhanced for developing countries to help them more effectively bridge the existing financing gap. In conclusion, it is reiterated that Pakistan remains firm in its commitment to the 2030 Agenda. No country can solve transboundary climate risks or global economic volatility alone. We look forward to working with our partners to share knowledge, mobilize resources, and build a resilient future for all. I thank you all.
Thank you for your statement. And now I give the floor to His Excellency Mr. Datuk Wan Zahidi Wan Abdullah, Ambassador of Malaysia to the Kingdom of Thailand. Please, Excellency, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Very good afternoon. Mr. Chair, Madam Executive Secretary, Excellencies, distinguished delegates, very good afternoon. Malaysia congratulates the convening of the 82nd session of ESCAP and for the election of Azerbaijan as the chair of this session. Malaysia also thanks the government of Thailand and the ESCAP Secretariat for excellent arrangement and warm hospitality. So we gather today at the time of global uncertainty, multifaceted challenges in the like of trade war, decelerated growth, and climate change continue to test our collective development trajectory and, more importantly, our progress towards the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. Ongoing conflict in West Asia have quickly exposed the fragility and volatility of entire regions, causing major disruptions to global trade routes, energy supplies, and financial markets, with far-reaching ripple effects across our region. At the same time, multilateralism has weakened and global trust is being eroded. This grim reality facing our region necessitates reflection and on the opportunities and solutions that can support our pursuit of sustainable growth and development. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, in response to global structural shifts propelled in part by the increase of protectionism and tightening of technology and investment controls, Malaysia is recalibrating its development strategy towards greater domestic demand, productivity, and economic resilience. Fundamentally, Malaysia's development agenda is anchored in the 30th Malaysia Plan and numerous national planning initiatives. These instruments articulate the government's commitment to sustainable economic growth, inclusive development, environmental resilience, and strengthened governance systems. Through the new Industrial Master Plan 2030, Malaysia is committed to bolstering the nation's manufacturing sector with ambitious microeconomic targets which include boosting the GDP of the manufacturing sector by 6.5% annually by 2030. This could translate into substantial 140 billion US dollars contribution to Malaysia's total GDP. Meanwhile, within the global context of accelerated urgency for the implementation of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, Malaysia is finalizing an SDG Roadmap Phase 3, 2026-2030. Based on 2024 data, Malaysia is projected to achieve approximately 58% of SDG target by 2030, significantly above the current global average of 18%. Through the National Energy Transition Roadmap, Malaysia is accelerating climate action with efforts aimed at scaling up renewable energy to 70% of its electricity generation by 2050, while promoting energy efficiency, mobilizing green investments. Digitalization also remains central to Malaysia's development strategy in recent years. Malaysia has been harnessing digital transformation consistent with the Malaysia Digital Economy Blueprint, MDEB, and the National Fourth Industrial Revolution Policy. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, Malaysia conquers with ESCAP's assessment that combination of prudence, macroeconomic and financial management and structural reform will be necessary to navigate global uncertainty. Malaysia views that financing development sustainably require more efficient public expenditure, innovative financing mechanism, and stronger mobilization of private capital. Without strengthened physical resilience, progress for development may be constrained, while fiscal space for essential investment will continue to narrow. In this context, Malaysia underscores the importance of expanding financing and investment in priority areas, including social protections, renewable energy, digital transformation, and infrastructure. Malaysia also calls on our developed partners to fulfill their international obligations, particularly to support developing countries in ensuring predictable, adequate, and uninterrupted funding during shocks and crises. Excellencies and distinguished delegates, in today's increasingly fragmented global economy, the role of ESCAP is more critical than ever, particularly in transforming shared challenges into regional opportunity. ESCAP must not only help ensure coherence between national development priorities and global commitments, but also support member states through strengthened regional connectivity and enhanced cooperation. Malaysia firmly believes that strong regional cooperation is essential for sustainable future. Through ESCAP, member states should capitalize on emerging development opportunities in order to achieve meaningful socio-economic progress. To this end, Malaysia remains committed to advancing the work of ESCAP and to working with all sides to build a better future for our region. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I will now close the list of speakers for this agenda item for this morning. I also would like to thank all the staff, all the people, all the colleagues who took part in organizing this morning session. I specifically would like to extend deep gratitude to the excellent and very professional services for our interpreters this morning. So we're very grateful. The general debate on the agenda item 2A will continue this afternoon starting at 14:30 hours. And now may I now call on the Secretary of the Commission to make an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Very good afternoon, distinguished colleagues. A warm welcome again to the Commission session. I'd like to briefly inform you about the side events, which is going to take place shortly. This has been organized by several member states and partner agencies, and you'll have the information on the screen. And this is also open to all the participants of the Commission. In terms of the lunch, I'd like to inform you all participants that in addition to regular catering services available in the international cafeteria and the coffee corner on the level 1 and Rajapurek lounge on the ground floor, please also visit the garden area on the ground floor to enjoy the local cuisine. And then this afternoon, I'm pleased to also remind you everyone that Executive Secretary, Minister of Foreign Affairs of Azerbaijan, Minister of Foreign Affairs of Kingdom of Thailand are co-hosting a reception for all participants at the Commission after the conclusion of the afternoon session at conference room 1 on this level 2. All participants attending the session are welcome to join. With that, I thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary of the Commission. At this time, we shall break and reconvene this afternoon, as it was said, promptly at 14:30 hours Bangkok time, to continue the discussion under agenda item 2A. The meeting is adjourned.
Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you. Now you've earned your lunch.